I popped on early because it's going down in the courthouse. It's getting hot in there, say what? Kidnapping. Threats. Who is Suge Knight to you? It's hot. Who is Uncle Paul? Ooh, a whole bunch of names coming out. Ooh, it's time to eat. Ooh, baby Capricorn. They came in with objections, overruled, DNA. Ooh, he not smiling. Security. Y'all want racketeering? Oh, she brought 50 Cent. Chris Lightly. Are they gonna bring up the security guard that came up dead? I wonder. Oh, it's coming out. It's coming out, y'all. Capricorn. Diddy, Suge Knight, baby mama. Suge Knight all up in her. Wasn't that Pressure who was talking about he don't care nothing about Suge Knight, he care about Coffee D or Keffy? Shit. Suge name done fell up in the building. $50 cents, Chris Light, they bring up all the names. Oh, so that means probably by the end of the week or next week, the freak offs with all the people getting it in, coming in. Let's go. Come on, people. Y'all gonna miss the tea.
And welcome back to Law and Crime, everybody. I'm Jesse Weber, and thanks for joining us for our live coverage of the Sean Diddy Combs criminal trial out of New York Federal Court. Right now, they're on a lunch break. Gives us time to analyze what's happened so far as we begin week 3 in the prosecution of this case. And really interesting testimony from what we're getting reports on what happened in court today. But by the way, for the next hour or so, we're going to be taking your questions on YouTube. Any questions you have about today's testimony, anything about that's happened in the case so far, where you think the case is going to go, submit them on YouTube, and me and my great panel of guests are going to break them down. But before I bring in my guests, I got to bring on right now Elizabeth Milner, Law and Crimes reporter.
Oh, it went down in the courthouse today. Forget the DM.
Court every single day of testimony, including today. Elizabeth, it's great to see you. I will ask you about what the vibe is and what we're seeing in the court in a minute, but I have to start with the testimony of Capricorn Clark. So this former assistant to Sean Combs, we knew she was going to take the stand. She had been mentioned last week during Kid Cudi's testimony. I want to take this in pieces if I can. So, because I know we have a little bit of time with you. So just talk to me real quick about how she began her testimony and how she started working for Sean Combs. And then we'll move into more of the specific allegations regarding Kid Cudi.
Yeah, well, Jesse, from what Capricorn Clark said while on the stand today, she said that she and Diddy actually go back before she actually started working with him. She said she met him around 2000.
On the worst day of my life,
y'all come on in.
I got a check in the mail. And
He started getting into his employment around 2004, between 2004 to 2006. So when she was first brought on, she was brought on as a personal assistant. And she said, actually, on the first day of the job, she was taken to Central Park. And you might think, oh, we're going to go to Central Park. It's going to be great. That's not really how she described her first day on the job. She said she went there with Sean Combs, Diddy, and she also went there with Paul Alford. Now, who is Paul Alford? He's actually the security guard that we've known about for a number of testimony, right? But she's actually talking about Uncle Paulie. And so she said that she was brought to Central Park with them. And then she kind of gets into why they would go to Central Park. And it was essentially to threaten Capricorn Clark. Why? Because she actually used to work with Death Row. And who was the CEO of Death Row? That is Suge Knight, one of Diddy's many arch nemesis. And so she said that she described her previous relationship with Suge Knight as he is actually the father of her best friend's children. So she does not have a personal, intimate relationship with Suge Knight necessarily, but she just knows of him and knows him a little bit closer, mainly because of her best friend, and that he is the father of her best friend's children. And so when she was taken to Central Park around this time, this being in 2004, she said that Diddy told her he'd kill her if she had anything to do with Suge Knight. Then there was an objection raised in court. The defense obviously objected to that statement, but the government continued to ask her about this alleged threat, and she being Capricorn Clark had explained that Diddy was relatively calm while delaying this kind of message to her. She said that during this kind of meetup at Central Park, or during this meeting, that Uncle Paulie said nothing. He was calm as well too. He was a little stoic from her description of it. And she said, as far as the response to the threat goes, she says, well, we'll just have to see. But Capricorn said while she was on the stand that she should have just been more transparent about her relationship with Suge Knight. And that's when we start getting into the exhibit photos of just some of the security guards that we've seen a number of times through these exhibits. So we were shown a photo of D-Rock, who Capricorn Clark explained was a good friend of Biggie Smalls. D-Rock actually came on board after Capricorn Clark. Then we're showing an exhibit photo of Ruben, who's actually D-Rock's little brother. And she explained that that Ruben came after Capricorn Clark, and so did she said that Ruben came after Capricorn Clark, same as D-Rock. And then as far as Roger Bonds, we already saw an exhibit photo of him, but we saw that again today. And she explained that Roger Bonds started around the time that Capricorn Clark did. So this was around that 2004 time frame. And then slowly we start to get into the guns. And Capricorn had said that she had observed Diddy with a gun while she was being kidnapped. And obviously, we're going to divulge that piece by piece in just a little bit. But the government asked her, that Diddy has discussed having a gun before, because there was this whole, press thing and interview that Diddy had done with 50 Cent. And we all know Diddy's relationship with 50 Cent is not the best. And so I guess Puff, or who she refers to as Puff, said that Chris Lighty, who was Diddy's manager around that time, said that Diddy said, I don't like the back and forth, I like guns. And Puff, or Diddy, or Sean Combs, as we're calling him, was actually talking about 50 Cent during that exchange. So that was automatically the start of the testimony, already going off with a little bit of fireworks after kind of going into how she came to work with Diddy.
Yeah, look, when you're dealing with a racketeering case, we've said it before, we'll say it again, having the assistants, the bodyguard, the security, the people that were in that inner circle is imperative, because you're trying to understand the inner workings of this criminal enterprise or this organization, but also, Diddy is ultimately charged in a racketeering conspiracy case alone. There's no other defendants. So you wonder, who did he allegedly do all of these things with? Who did he engage in this pattern of criminal activity with? But the reason she is also important is because I believe she is being used to help prove some of the underlying crimes for racketeering. When you're talking about racketeering conspiracy, the prosecution needs to prove at least 2 underlying crimes. So there's sex trafficking, there's arson, there's kidnapping, there's bribery. But more specifically, what did she say regarding kidnapping? And what did she say, I believe, that may help support the forced labor allegation? Again, really, really important for racketeering. What did Capricorn Clark have to say today?
Yeah, she said a lot, Jesse. Sometimes I just have to go through my notes to see just where everything is that she had been talking about. But as far as just the kidnapping goes, and I just want to apologize, everyone. I know my voice is a little hoarse, so if it scratches off a little bit here and there, I apologize for that. But so as far as the kidnapping allegation goes, that stems from 2011. And what do we know that happens in 2011, specifically around December of that time frame? That is when we start to kind of get into the Kid Cudi and Cassie relationship. Obviously, a very huge talking point throughout a lot of this testimony, especially last week, kind of trickling into this week. And so around this 2011 time frame, Capricorn Clark is no longer Diddy's personal assistant. Now she's a global brand director. So she's around 28 years old around this time. But she said around this time frame, she was also working as Cassie's creative director and manager too. So kind of pulling those double roles. And she said as far as that role of being a creative director, it was kind of about maximizing the optics for Cassie. And so as far as just everything with the Kid Cudi incident, Capricorn Clark explained that Cassie was seeing Kid Cudi in December of 2011. We already know this, but Cassie had asked around this time frame whether or not Kid Cudi could come on a hike with Capricorn and Cassie. And Capricorn actually said that this was going to be a bad idea because Capricorn was concerned whether or not Diddy would find out about this. And so Capricorn was explaining that Diddy had bought her phone, and so he was worried, or she was worried about Diddy seeing these text messages come through from Cassie, kind of explaining that she wanted to bring Kid Cudi on this hike that they were doing together. And so Capricorn actually explained on the stand today that she was the one who brought Cassie in to buy that burner phone, so that way it wouldn't be traced back to Cassie. That way they could talk without Diddy finding out. So that was kind of a big revelation that we learned today because Capricorn had explained that she got Cassie this burner phone, or she went with her to Best Buy to buy this burner phone because she was afraid that they would all get killed. There is an objection made by the defense, obviously, because everyone's just like, oh my God, this is now another time where Diddy allegedly threatened to kill either Capricorn Clark or Cassie or somebody in just that fashion. But the objection was sustained, so that part is struck from the record. But Capricorn said she all of a sudden was hearing a loud banging at her apartment. And so she said that she looked through the peephole of her apartment door and she saw that Diddy was upset. He was pacing. His body language looked like something was kind of in his hand. So Capricorn Clark opened the door, and she said when she did, Diddy was still upset. She explained everything that he wore, from a button-down shirt, a sweater, that he had slacks that just happened to be ripped. And she said it exposed his underwear. But she said that Diddy had a gun in his hand whenever he was banging on her door. And so Diddy said to Capricorn Clark in a very angry way, why didn't you tell me who is Scott? And as we know Scott to be Scott Mescudi, aka Kid Cudi. And so Diddy told Capricorn, get dressed, we're gonna kill this N-word. And that's what she said. And I will say here, Jesse, that Capricorn Clark, when she was on the stand, I wouldn't necessarily characterize it as being casual, but as far as just profanity is concerned, she very much just kind of laid it all out there as far as what was said, what words were used. And so it did get a little profane during some aspects of her testimony. And so Diddy had told her that they were going to go kill this person, and that person being Kid Cudi. And so during this testimony,
please come in the clouds and hit the like button
during this. And so Capricorn said that she didn't want to go, but Diddy made her, and he put a gun in his waist, that same gun that he had in his hand, he put in his waist, and that Diddy still seemed mad, but this time mad at Capricorn. And Capricorn said that Diddy had never been to her house before, but once they were in the car, Diddy moved his gun from his waist to his lap now. But notably, Ruben, who we know as also Rue, but is also D-Rock's little brother, was the one who was driving the car. So it was the three of them, Capricorn, Diddy, and Ruben, aka Rue. And so Capricorn explained that she wasn't able to leave the Escalade, which I guess is the vehicle that they had driven down to. She said that everything was just happening so fast. There was no conversation going on. But they went from Capricorn Clark's home all the way down to Kid Cudi's house, or I guess all the way up to Kid Cudi's house in the Hollywood Hills. And then we're showing an exhibit photo of the Google map that shows kind of the direction of driving or direction of travel from Capricorn Clark's house to Kid Cudi's home. And then we see that same exhibit photo of Kid Cudi's front door. And so from there, Capricorn was kind of explaining she didn't know whether or not Kid Cudi was actually at his home, but Capricorn said that she had to stay in the car. Meanwhile, Ruben and Diddy went inside Kid Cudi's home. Capricorn explained that she had called Cassie and called Cassie's burner phone through all of this, and Capricorn had explained to Cassie, she said, Cassie, what the F? And she had told Cassie that she had she was brought to Kid Cudi's home essentially to be there so that way they could kill him. And Capricorn actually changed the name from Cassie's burner phone over to, like, I guess her best friend's name, because she didn't want Diddy to find out that she called her to give her the heads up. But guess what happens next? Diddy comes out and she said that while she was on the phone with Cassie, she could hear Kid Cudi on the phone telling Cassie that this man's in my house. Those weren't the exact words that were said, but you get what I'm going with that. But and Cassie was trying to stop him because he could have been killed in this incident, according to Capricorn Clark. Diddy comes out. Diddy explains, who the F are you talking to? Diddy called that same number back, found out that that's Cassie's burner phone, then got livid knowing Cassie even had this extra phone. And so Capricorn said that Kid Cudi later pulled up to his home. He sped off later, though, and then D-Rock, Capricorn, and Rue all followed him in the same car, chased him until they essentially lost him. But then the police responded, and that's when Kid Cudi, I guess, returns back to his home. And it's interesting because I don't recall under direct or even cross-examination that Kid Cudi explaining that he actually drove to the home before the police arrived. But according to Capricorn Clark, that's what she kind of said happened. But she surprisingly said that Diddy was relatively calm when he saw the police sirens going over to Kid Cudi's home, but that afterwards, Capricorn, Diddy, and Ruben all went to the Key Club, and Diddy told Capricorn to essentially call Cassie and tell her to come over here. And Cassie said, okay, well, come get me. So Diddy told Cassie to tell Kid Cudi not to tell the police that Diddy was the one allegedly behind it and not to make a police report about the incident. The Capricorn told Kid Cudi as well, too, not to file this police report, and that Kid Cudi was essentially mind blown. There was another objection. That objection was sustained, so maybe the mind blown won't be in the transcript. But after this event happened, and after this, because this was just them going into the home, that Capricorn and Cassie went over to Diddy's house, and Diddy began physically assaulting and being physically violent with Cassie.
Oh, wow, for real. Come on
It's
now.
Mother's Day. Show mom. Her, and he never used his hands. Cassie was crouched into this before time frame. And then slowly we start to get into the guns. And Capricorn had said that she had observed Diddy with a gun while she was being kidnapped. And obviously we're going to divulge and take that piece by piece in just a little bit. But the government asked her, that Diddy has discussed having a gun before, because there was this whole, I guess, press thing and interview that Diddy had done with 50 Cent. And we all know Diddy's relationship with 50 Cent is not the best. And so I guess Puff, or who she refers to as Puff, said that Chris Lighty, who was Diddy's manager around that time, said that Diddy said, I don't like the back and forth, I like guns. And Puff, or Diddy, or Sean Combs, as we're calling him, was actually talking about 50 Cent during that exchange. So that was automatically the start of the testimony, right, already going off with a little bit of fireworks after kind of going into how she came to work with Diddy.
Yeah, look, when you're dealing with a racketeering case, we've said it before, we'll say it again, having the assistants, the bodyguard, the security, the people that were in that inner circle is imperative, because you're trying to understand the inner workings of this criminal enterprise or this organization. But also, Diddy is ultimately charged in a racketeering conspiracy case alone. There's no other defendants, so you wonder, who did he allegedly do all of these things with? Who did he engage in this pattern of criminal activity with? But the reason she is also important is because I believe she is being used to help prove some of the underlying crimes for racketeering. When you're talking about racketeering conspiracy, the prosecution needs to prove at least 2 underlying crimes. So there's sex trafficking, there's arson, there's kidnapping, there's bribery. But more specifically, what did she say regarding kidnapping? And what did she say, I believe, that may help support the forced labor allegation? Again, really, really important for racketeering. What did Capricorn Clark have to say today?
Yeah, she said a lot, Jesse. Sometimes I just have to go through my notes to see just where everything is that she had been talking about. But as far as just the kidnapping goes, and I just want to apologize, everyone. I know my voice is a little hoarse, so if it scratches off a little bit here and there, I apologize for that. But so as far as the kidnapping allegation goes, that stems from 2011. And what do we know that happens in 2011, specifically around December of that time frame? That is when we start to kind of get into the Kid Cudi and Cassie relationship. Obviously, a very huge talking point throughout a lot of this testimony, especially last week, kind of trickling into this week. And so around this 2011 time frame, Capricorn Clark is no longer Diddy's personal assistant. Now she's a global brand director. So she's around 28 years old around this time. But she said around this time frame, she was also working as Cassie's creative director and manager too. So kind of pulling those double roles. And she said as far as that role of being a creative director, it was kind of about maximizing the optics for Cassie. And so as far as just everything with the Kid Cudi incident, Capricorn Clark explained that Cassie was seeing Kid Cudi in December of 2011. We already know this, but Cassie had asked around this time frame whether or not Kid Cudi could come on a hike with Capricorn and Cassie. And Capricorn actually said that this was going to be a bad idea because Capricorn was concerned whether or not Diddy would find out about this. And so Capricorn was explaining that Diddy had bought her phone, and so he was worried, or she was worried about Diddy seeing these text messages come through from Cassie, kind of explaining that she wanted to bring Kid Cudi on this hike that they were doing together. And so Capricorn actually explained on the stand today that she was the one who brought Cassie in to buy that burner phone, so that way it wouldn't be traced back to Cassie. That way they could talk without Diddy finding out. So that was kind of a big revelation that we learned today because Capricorn had explained that she got Cassie this burner phone, or she went with her to Best Buy to buy this burner phone because she was afraid that they would all get killed. There is an objection made by the defense, obviously, because everyone's just like, oh my God, this is now another time where Diddy allegedly threatened to kill either Capricorn Clark or Cassie or somebody in just that fashion. But the objection was sustained, so that part is struck from the record. But Capricorn said she all of a sudden was hearing a loud banging at her apartment. And so she said that she looked through the peephole of her apartment door and she saw that Diddy was upset. He was pacing. His body language looked like something was kind of in his hand. So Capricorn Clark opened the door, and she said when she did, Diddy was still upset. She explained everything that he wore, from a button-down shirt, a sweater, that he had slacks that just happened to be ripped. And she said it exposed his underwear. But she said that Diddy had a gun in his hand whenever he was banging on her door. And so Diddy said to Capricorn Clark in a very angry way, why didn't you tell me who is Scott? And as we know Scott to be Scott Mescudi, aka Kid Cudi. And so Diddy told Capricorn, get dressed, we're gonna kill this N-word. That's what he said. And I will say here, Jesse, that Capricorn Clark, when she was on the stand, I wouldn't necessarily characterize it as being casual, but as far as just profanity is concerned, she very much just kind of laid it all out there as far as what was said, what words were used. And so it did get a little profane during some aspects of her testimony. And so, yeah, Diddy had told her that they were going to go kill this person, and that person being Kid Cudi. And so during this testimony, I saw that Diddy was jotting down some notes during this. And so Capricorn said that she didn't want to go, but Diddy made her, and he put a gun in his waist, that same gun that he had in his hand, he put in his waist, and that Diddy still seemed mad, but this time mad at Capricorn. And Capricorn said that Diddy had never been to her house before, but once they were in the car, Diddy moved his gun from his waist to his lap now. But notably, Ruben, who we know as also Rue, but is also D-Rock's little brother, was the one who was driving the car. So it was the three of them, Capricorn, Diddy, and Ruben, aka Rue. And so Capricorn explained that she wasn't able to leave the Escalade, which I guess is the vehicle that they had driven down to. She said that everything was just happening so fast. There was no conversation going on. But they went from Capricorn Clark's home all the way down to Kid Cudi's house, or I guess all the way up to Kid Cudi's house in the Hollywood Hills. And then we're showing an exhibit photo of the Google map that shows kind of the direction of driving or direction of travel from Capricorn Clark's house to Kid Cudi's home. And then we see that same exhibit photo of Kid Cudi's front door. And so from there, Capricorn was kind of explaining she didn't know whether or not Kid Cudi was actually at his home, but Capricorn said that she had to stay in the car. Meanwhile, Ruben and Diddy went inside Kid Cudi's home. Capricorn explained that she had called Cassie and called Cassie's burner phone through all of this, and Capricorn had explained to Cassie, she said, Cassie, what the F? And she had told Cassie that she had she was brought to Kid Cudi's home, essentially, to be there so that way they could kill him. And Capricorn actually changed the name from Cassie's burner phone over to, like, I guess her best friend's name, because she didn't want Diddy to find out that she called her to give her the heads up. But guess what happens next? Diddy comes out, and she said that while she was on the phone with Cassie, she could hear Kid Cudi on the phone telling Cassie that this man's in my house. Those weren't the exact words that were said, but you get what I'm going with that. But and Cassie was trying to stop him because he could have been killed in this incident, according to Capricorn Clark. Diddy comes out. Diddy explains, who the F are you talking to? Diddy called that same number back, found out that that's Cassie's burner phone, then got livid knowing Cassie even had this extra phone. And so Capricorn said that Kid Cudi later pulled up to his home. He sped off later, though, and then D-Rock, Capricorn, and Rue all followed him in the same car, chased him until they essentially lost him. But then the police responded, and that's when Kid Cudi, I guess, returns back to his home. And it's interesting because I don't recall under direct or even cross-examination that Kid Cudi explaining that he actually drove to the home before the police arrived. But according to Capricorn Clark, that's what she kind of said happened. But she surprisingly said that Diddy was relatively calm when he saw the police sirens going over to Kid Cudi's home, but that afterwards, Capricorn, Diddy, and Ruben all went to the Key Club, and Diddy told Capricorn to essentially call Cassie and tell her to come over here. And Cassie said, okay, well, come get me. So Diddy told Cassie to tell Kid Cudi not to tell the police that Diddy was the one allegedly behind it and not to make a police report about the incident. The Capricorn told Kid Cudi as well, too, not to file this police report, and that Kid Cudi was essentially mind blown. There was another objection. That objection was sustained, so maybe the mind blown won't be in the transcript. But after this event happened, and after this, because this was just them going into the home, that Capricorn and Cassie went over to Diddy's house, and Diddy began physically assaulting and being physically violent with Cassie. Capricorn explained that he kept kicking her and he never used his hands. Cassie was crouched into this fetal position.
Elizabeth, let me jump in because it's so loud right now. I know we got the sirens going on. This is the beauty of a live shot right outside the federal courthouse. But look, just from my point of view, look, this is really, really important testimony because it helps establish this alleged kidnapping. It helps to
please hit the like button.
Cudi had testified to. It helps to describe and back up and corroborate with what Cassandra Ventura had testified to. All this idea that the jury has to believe that Sean Combs was essentially a mob boss, that he was running this criminal organization and had people, engaging in this kind of behavior. And I'll pick it up back to you because the sound stopped. But, also real quick, she talked about her work and she talked about being forced. I mean, if we're talking about forced labor, it wasn't just the hours. I mean, she talked about the hours she had to work as well, but also the kind of circumstances of her job too, right?
She did, and as I'm trying to go through my notes, everyone, that's also the beauty of the live shot, is writing or finding your place where you'd wrote down everything, because you write down so many notes, I should say. But as far as just the overworking that she did, she said on a good night she got 4 hours of sleep, and then on a bad night she got 2 hours of sleep. I personally think 4 hours of sleep is kind of a bad night, but according to her, that was just pretty typical. She said that she even got stress-induced alopecia from working with Diddy. She even had to go to a doctor. She said that around that time frame she was making about $65,000 as her salary as a personal assistant. But the thing is, Jesse, she went to HR, and HR calculated Capricorn's overtime, and she said that she had enough overtime that was owed to her, totaling about $80,000 of overtime. That's a lot of money. But what did Diddy do whenever he was shown kind of this paper receipt and kind of this document that showed that she was owed $80,000 in overtime? Diddy allegedly ripped up this paper. That's what Capricorn Clark said while she was on the stand. But like a lot of the other assistants that have testified so far, including David James and George Kaplan as well, that Capricorn Clark's, one of her many duties was to set up hotel rooms. And even just thinking about this time frame, right, Jesse, it's from 2004 to 2006. So this was before the Cassie relationship that she was still required to set up these hotels. She said that she would unpack a camera box. This camera box had a camera, lube, baby oil in it. She said that she had to unpack Diddy's clothes, his shoes, a toiletry bag, which the toiletry bag was that Louis Vuitton bag that allegedly had drugs inside of it. She said there were drugs like ecstasy inside this bag. Kind of still the same old tricks, it seems like, too, from just booking these hotel stays, that if it was one of Diddy's girlfriends, because again, this was before Cassie Ventura, that the name for the girlfriend would be Jackie Starr, a same alias that was used by Cassie. She had explained that as far as the names for the hotel reservations for Diddy specifically, she said that those could be either Frank Black, they could be Frank White. She even said that during some of these hotel stays that he being Diddy would stay at the hotel with Kim Porter, and this would be something that would happen at least once a week. But there were other girlfriends who would stay at the hotel too. And then even in the aftermath of everything, Jesse, it's kind of that same old thing where she would pack up all of his stuff and clean up after him. And what was kind of on the walls and kind of the stickier stuff that's found inside these hotel rooms, it was baby oil. So it was interesting kind of hearing that even before the Cassie Ventura relationship goes, that Capricorn Clark was essentially doing the same type of responsibilities that other assistants did while Diddy was with Cassie and even after the fact.
Right. Well, listen, we have a lot to break down with her testimony and what to make of it. But Elizabeth Milner, thank you so much for the in-depth report. It feels like I'm, reading the transcript. That's how detailed and thorough your reporting is on this. And you have to jump back into the courtroom. But Elizabeth, thank you so much.
They're not talking about Cassie.
All right,
so
we're
what you
break
talking
this
about?
down, and we're also
so that
going to break down
you ain't paying attention.
We see them all coming in right now. So I want to bring on my guest first by criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Safa Robinson Ferrer. Great to have you here, Safa. And we are also joined by entertainment and employment attorney Cameron Dolachahi. Thank you so much, both of you, for taking the time. So a lot of questions to get into. I will start with you, Safa. We've got this question that's coming in from D Princess. So Capricorn said she observed Diddy with guns. The government also has unmarked guns in evidence. What impact will this have on the RICO case, right? The racketeering conspiracy. Talk to us about this, Safa.
Going to have a significant impact on the RICO charges, because one of the things that the government has to prove is that there's an underlying predicate offense within a 10-year period to substantiate the RICO charge. The government last week had testimony with respect to the arson in Kid Cudi's vehicle, which is one of the predicate offenses that they would have to prove. Kidnapping is also another predicate offense they have to prove. So if the government can show that Mr. Combs used threats of force or physical violence by way of using a firearm, which is a significant threat of force and would cause someone to fear for their life, they can prove the kidnapping. And based on Capricorn Clark's testimony this morning, I think they're on a pretty good path to proving that.
I think the testimony, Cameron, about what the employees
I told you this didn't have nothing to do with Cassie.
If you go back to one of his former assistants saying that it was Sean Combs' kingdom.
He kidnapped other people.
What he wanted. One of the things that she testified to is that she had to take a lie detector test. Capricorn.
He out of here. Y'all can say what y'all want to.
One of the questions is, Danny asks, why did Diddy make Capricorn take a lie detector test? Did she pass or fail? I think it might have had something to do with whether or not she stole jewelry. But, that's an important aspect of this case as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, these are people going under incredibly toxic conditions to work. They each probably have their own basis for separate lawsuits against them from,
free Diddy to your mama house.
Like I mentioned, hostile work environment.
Let him go stay with your mama.
Discrimination and retaliation. Living and working under those conditions.
Warner Carter.
Typically, I represent plaintiffs, and those are the exact working conditions that lead to multiple lawsuits against the same employer. So,
listen, all of y'all who want Diddy to be free, he ain't guilty. He didn't. Let him go and stay with your daughter, your sister, your mama. Can he go stay with your mama? Since y'all think he's so free. Free Diddy. Yeah, let him come stay with y'all. Can he get out of jail and come stay with you? Okay, well, cool. Let him come stay with you in your daughter room. You so confident. Yeah. And you gonna be just like the Pope, sorry, trifling parents like Usher, mama, allegedly. And sold her son to Diddy to be done. In the doing the butt. Work that. Ooh. Let's go.
The testimony from the employees, it's not just one person saying it, you know, multiple people corroborating the same work environment lends absolute credence to it.
And you know it.
So we also get questions from, not just on YouTube, but emails. And there was one that struck us last week. I got to repeat it. I'm going to go to you, Safa. This is an email question from Jamie. I've been watching Law and Crime to keep me updated on the Diddy trial. Thank you all.
It is sad that he was taking advantage of the boys and girls.
And others say that the prosecution's witnesses are providing testimony to show that Cassie was forced and coerced to comply with Diddy's sex fantasy demands in order to support sex trafficking charges. There are men who sexually, physically, financially, and emotionally abuse women using force, fraud, or coercion all the time. It seems that in order for Diddy's crimes to qualify for commercial
motherland, where was you at the other day when they was talking about Africa,
Diddy
Bambaataa,
sex acts? It seems
who lost his case
these crimes wouldn't qualify
for assaulting and trafficking a 12-year-old boy for 4 years. How you feel about that, Africa, motherland? I was sure looking for you.
Also a tagline. Also, still don't understand what RICO is. So
he lost in court too. Oh yeah, okay.
Is it about
they operating from the same handbook.
If you want to give a real quick,
shit. If he guilty, so is Diddy.
About what RICO is.
So really quickly, RICO is a
detailed and thorough your reporting is on this. I know you have to jump back into the courtroom, but Elizabeth, thank you so much.
I ain't got time to play with y'all. We trying to listen.
Thanks, Jesse.
All right, so we're going to break this down, and we're also going to break down your questions. We see them all coming in right now. So I want to bring on my guests. I'm joined first by criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Safa Robinson-Ferrer. Great to have you here, Safa. And we are also joined by entertainment and employment attorney Cameron Dolachahi. Thank you so much, both of you, for taking the time. So a lot of questions to get into. I will start with you, Safa. We've got this question that's coming in from D Princess. So Capricorn said she observed Diddy with guns. The government also has unmarked guns in evidence. What impact will this have on the RICO case, right? The racketeering conspiracy. Talk to us about this, Safa.
Going to have a significant impact on the RICO charges because one of the things that the government has to prove is that there's an underlying predicate offense within a 10-year period to substantiate the RICO
Diddy. That's true.
The government last week had testimony with respect to the arson in King Cuddy's vehicle.
Yeah, it was done to him.
Which is one of the predicate offenses.
I believe it was done to him.
Kidnapping is also another predicate offense they have to prove. So if the government can show that Mr. Combs used threats of force or physical violence by way of using a firearm,
a lot of trolling. They paid trolls.
And would cause someone to fear for their life, they can prove the kidnapping. And based on Capricorn Clark's testimony this morning, I think they're on a pretty good path to proving that.
I think the testimony, Cameron, about what the employees went through, what was required of them, even if you go back to one of his former assistants saying that it was Sean Combs' kingdom and we all did what he wanted. One of the things that she testified to is that she had to take a lie detector test. Capricorn Clark had to take a lie detector test. One of the questions is, Danny asks, why did Diddy make Capricorn take a lie detector test? Did she pass or fail? I think it might have had something to do with whether or not she stole jewelry. But, that's an important aspect of this case as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, these are people going under incredibly toxic conditions to work. They each probably have their own basis for separate lawsuits against them, from, unpaid wages to, like I mentioned, hostile work environment to failure to prevent discrimination and retaliation. Living and working under those conditions, typically I represent plaintiffs and those are the exact working conditions that lead to multiple lawsuits against the same employer. So, the testimony from the employees, it's not just one person saying it, multiple people corroborating the same work environment lends absolute credence to it.
So we also get questions in from not just on YouTube, but we get emails. And there was one that struck us last week. I got to repeat it. I'm going to go to you, Safa. This is an email question from Jamie. I've been watching Law and Crime to keep me updated on the Diddy trial. Thank you all for the information. You're welcome. I've heard people on your show and others say that the prosecution's witnesses are providing testimony to show that Cassie was forced and coerced to comply with Diddy's sex fantasy demands in order to support sex trafficking charges. There are men who sexually, physically, financially, and emotionally abuse women using force, fraud, or coercion all the time. It seems that in order for Diddy's crime
that's why the men think that it's okay.
Commercial sex trafficking, someone would have needed to purchase a victim, i.e. Cassie, from Diddy for the purpose of sex acts. It seems that is why Diddy's crimes wouldn't qualify for sex trafficking, because it's not commercial that we've heard of yet. Why isn't anyone talking about that? Am I missing something? And then there's also a tagline, also, still don't understand what RICO is. So, Saf, I'll give the floor to you. Is it about purchasing Cassie for sex trafficking? And also, if you want to give a real quick 4-sentence definition about what RICO is.
So really quickly, RICO is a racketeering, influence, and corrupt organization, which essentially means that you have a criminal enterprise that engages in a pattern of behavior that would further that criminal enterprise. There's a few predicate offenses. Some of them include bribery, kidnapping, arson, other things like that. And essentially, those would go to prove to further the enterprise, so to speak. So that is basically what a RICO is, first and foremost. Now, with respect to the sex trafficking charges here in the indictment, it's not that Cassie was the one that was purchased for sexual activity, but that they purchased sex workers, so to speak, in order to engage in sexual acts with Cassie, which is why the government had a number of male sex workers that testified with respect to, who they worked for, when they became engaged with Mr. Combs and Cassie Ventura, when they traveled or if they traveled from state to state, because there is a transportation and commerce component to that as well. So it's that Mr. Combs essentially purchased these sex or commercial sex workers, transported them via state lines or across state lines for the purposes of engaging in commercial sexual activity with Ms. Ventura.
Saf, I just want to follow up about one point on this. So we actually have a sidebar coming out later tonight about whether or not the prosecution at this point has proved sex trafficking. So I encourage everybody to check it out. But the reason I bring it up is one of the questions I posed there, I'm going to throw to you. Is it also commercial sex, whether or not, putting aside what was paid to these sex workers, if something of value was provided or promised to Cassandra Ventura, does that make it commercial sex? Is it only about sex workers, or is it something of value, or whether it was gifts or trips or financial dependency or career promises? Is that commercial sex for sex trafficking?
To an extent, but more so you see it often with respect to the exchange of currency. Could gifts and things of that nature make a showing of commercial sex acts? Possibly. But again, with respect to these charges, I don't think that the government is proving exactly that Ms. Ventura was the person that was the basis for the commercial sex act, but that these sex workers that were purchased through this company were the individuals that were commercially or they were the commercial sex workers. So I think it's really with respect to those individuals, which I think interestingly enough begs the question of this particular company, which seems to be a legitimized company, employing these sex workers for individuals to purchase.
I'm going to throw it over to you now, Cameron. By the way, and correct me if I'm wrong, am I mispronouncing your name? Is it Cameron or Cameron? I keep looking and I'm wondering if I'm saying it incorrectly.
Cameron. I'm a child of Iranian immigrants, so they spelled it in quite an interesting way, but it's Cameron.
Oh, there you go. Okay, well, there you go, Cameron. So we got a question from Mikey John. Do you think Usher is on the witness list? He's known Diddy for a long time, even lived with him. I'm sure he must know something. And let me just couple that. Dawn Richard last week, I believe it was last week, testified that she observed Diddy punch Cassie in front of high-profile celebrities like Usher, which I have said goes to the idea of the power dynamic. So a big factor for the jury to consider is, why didn't Cassie leave? Why didn't she step forward? Why didn't she fight back? Why didn't she report Combs? Well, if that allegation is true and the jury accepts it, that he could beat her up in front of these people and nobody steps in, nobody does anything, that shows the power of Combs. What is she expected to do? Do you think Usher's going to be called to the stand?
Yeah, he absolutely could be. That's a great point. His testimony is absolutely relevant to show the domestic abuse, to show the forced nature of the relationship and the freak-offs. So as high profile as he is, and maybe without this testimony, his lawyers could potentially put up some sort of a fight to avoid having him testify, because it is obviously burdensome and difficult.
I doubt if he get up there.
I think it is absolutely relevant in this case.
I'd be shocked.
We could definitely see him on the stand.
We need to, though.
And the witness list is sealed, so we don't really know who's going to take the stand until it's announced at the end of the day. Oh, this person's going to be testifying tomorrow. That's kind of how we knew Capricorn Clark was going to testify today. And I'll just follow up another question for you, Cameron. This is from Sam K. Are there celebrities, like big name actors, going to testify?
I would think definitely. I think there's this level of credibility that you have for a celebrity who has nothing to gain to come and testify. You saw that with Kate Moss in the Johnny Depp trial. And even Johnny Depp's attorney said Kate Moss has no reason to lie. She doesn't want to be here, right? So I think testimony from people like Kid Cudi, Usher, other celebrities where they really don't want to be there and presumably are telling the truth because of that reason are going to be really credible and impactful for the jury.
But for the prosecutor's point of view, you would also have to imagine, do they want it to get this far? Do they, they don't want to call a J-Lo or a Justin Bieber, right, Cameron? Because then it just confuses what the case is about. It gets too, I think they're trying to be as specific as possible with who the victims are, who the escorts are, what the charges are. Because if you take every allegation against Sean Combs in the past 2 years from every civil lawsuit, putting aside the fact whether it's even relevant to the federal case, I don't think they want an expansive case like that.
That's why they have immunity.
And I think Safa could speak more intelligently about this, but usually prosecutors want to give as much evidence as possible and kind of almost beat a dead horse over and over, showing all the bad acts. They're presenting their case first. All that evidence comes in for the jury, and it's pretty impactful. So, I don't know if the prosecution, especially in this case, with the mountain of evidence that they have from the federal indictments and the raids, are going to say, okay, I think we have enough.
Remember, it's right now, hold on, y'all. Remember, this week and everybody going forward, this week and last week, starting week 2, it was either, if y'all remember, I said that it was either a co-conspirator or you are a cooperating witness. Cooperating witness gets immunity. So no one at this point should be afraid, because if their name comes up and they are not cooperating, then they will be a co-conspirator. So Usher and his mama should take their asses up on their stand. You let me tell it. If not, let them be a co-conspirator and go to jail. And relive what Diddy did to you all over again. Now, you wise enough now to say, no, you would never let any of your kids go and stay with Diddy. Hell no, is what he said. Why? Because now you know your mama shouldn't have sent you. Yeah. If you won't send your kids, then that means your mama should not have sent you. Now, you're a successful young man, yeah, but your mama sold her soul to the devil so that you could be successful. She pimped you out. Bottom line. And all he did, Diddy did with Cassie is made her, I thought about it today, it clicked today. Yeah, You know, so he's addicted to porn. Yeah, so he made his girlfriend a porn star. That's what Cassie was to him. I was saying pimp, you know, he was pimping her out. No, she was his personal porn star. And she was performing with these XXX workers. That's why he was directing. No, rub here, touch this, do that. Get in the tub of baby oil, da-da-da-da-da. So she was going to be known, I guess, in the worldwide hub, whatever that mess is, as the oily porn queen or whatever. Yeah. She was his personal porn star. And that's why he was sitting over in that corner with his strong hand. With his strong hand.
Out a way on one of the charges to get a conviction.
I'll throw that to you, Safa, if you have an opinion about it.
Yeah, I would agree with Cameron. But not only that, I always think, and this is more of a style approach, is when you're telling the truth isn't complicated. So I don't think that you need, a bunch of witnesses to repeatedly tell the same thing. You want to get in, you want to get out, and you want to give impactful testimony for the jury to take away and consider. Now, it would be beneficial for the government to have these very notable people testify to the same thing, and the jurors are humans. They are going to be fascinated by some of the people that come to testify in the witness stand, especially if you do have an usher or jailer or somebody of that stature. But I don't think it's necessary with respect to the government's case. Not only that, I think with the domestic violence component, which essentially goes to show the threat of force and physical violence, I think we've heard quite a bit of testimony from Ms. Ventura herself, from Capricorn Clark, from Mr. Mascotti, and a bunch of other witnesses that would corroborate that. So I think the government's doing a pretty good job. They can certainly, I don't think it's actually necessary. But to Mr. Cameron's point, they're going to want to put his and throw the whole kitchen thing to get their conviction.
Safa, I want to follow up with another question. There's been a lot of talk about alleged victim number 3. Maybe can't find this person, not going to be able to testify. It was a big development leading into this trial. So we got a question from NLin93. And before I read this question, it presumes a lot and makes a lot of accusations. Just to put it there. So NLin93 asks, is it okay, legal, for Diddy to pay off Gina to not testify? So assuming Gina is alleged victim number 3, and assuming that's what he did. And if so, will the prosecutors know before it's too late in this case? Safa?
That is 100% illegal. He cannot do that. That is witness tampering. That's bribery. He would be subject to new criminal charges if he were to do that. Could the government be informed that he did do this or allegedly do this prior to the end of trial? I'm sure. There's an interesting question as to why whoever victim number 3 is, why they didn't testify or why they have not testified as of yet, if they are still missing in action. And I do believe that victim 3 has an attorney. So it's interesting to see how their attorney is playing into this, because generally speaking, when us as defense attorneys, we have a client testify, we are in constant communication with that person. So the last thing I heard, which I'm not sure if it's true, was that the government had not heard from the witness or I believe it's her attorney, but we'll see, but that is illegal.
Yeah, and right. We have no evidence to suggest that's what Diddy has done or allegedly did, which, by the way, Cameron, goes to another question we have from Nicole RZV. In high-profile cases like this, is it possible for the defense team to pay some witnesses to refuse to take the stand or to testify falsely?
Yeah, no. This would be incredibly
It's possible.
Yeah, yes, you're right. It is absolutely possible. It would be one of the stupidest things for it.
Muddy Mats buy 2 get 1 free sale is back this Black Friday. Why spend $20 on a mat that doesn't catch dirt?
Or for either party, so let's not anticipate anything like that happening.
Cameron, let me throw another question to you. This is from Psych Michael. Where is the evidence of RICO, meaning racketeering?
I'll be sure.
We get it. He's a bad dude, but he's not on trial for that. Where is the RICO evidence?
Yeah, I think it's in all the employees working together. It's in Diddy forcing them to do what he wants.
Absolutely.
Being, what you referred to earlier as a mob boss.
Kidnapping.
And it's kind of what we call the spoken wheel conspiracy, where, he's leading the charge and everyone else is, complying with everything he's doing, and they don't really have a choice. Whether they did have a choice or not is sort of actually irrelevant. But the point is that there's multiple people across states, across the country, helping him facilitate these illegal acts.
And Safa, let me follow that up. I mean, sure, there's different elements of it. There's different components. So it's racketeering, conspiracy. So the more the employees will say, we know what the job was. It was to serve his interest. It was to benefit him. It was to benefit what he wanted. That goes to this kind of agreement. But isn't it true they could convict him of racketeering conspiracy without all of the freak-offs, without all of the sex trafficking? Because some of the underlying crimes can be separate and apart from that. Kidnapping, arson, bribery, the drug offenses. If the jury goes, I don't know if Cassandra Ventura
people need
was
to
sex
understand
trafficking,
that.
but I think that there was crimes afoot. I think that Sean Combs was a part of this criminal organization.
He's not going to do it.
Had all of his employees
Justin
doing
Bieber's
his
not
bidding.
going to do it.
We actually believe that he committed crime X, Y, and Z. Am I right about that?
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, Jesse. And the government can do that. The jury
people
can
need to
come back
understand
not
that.
guilty
It's
with
not just
respect to the
about
sex
Cassie.
trafficking charges, but they can come back guilty on the RICO charges. So they have everything the jurors are going to consider everything that's been placed before them at the trial. With respect to the RICO charge, again, taking sex trafficking aside, you have these underlying offenses.
I wonder what
people
African
have testified to.
motherland
There has been evidence that's been
gonna
brought
say
in to
when he
make
find
at least a
out
showing
Cassie
that these things
is not
did
the RICO.
occur. So even if the jury is not going to consider I don't really think this was sex trafficking. I don't think Ms. Ventura is a victim with respect to sex trafficking. They can still consider the RICO charge in and of itself in the underlying predicate offenses that have been independently proven to make a finding of guilty.
By the way, in about 5 minutes or so, they're going to come back. Obviously, there's no cameras in the courtroom. There's no audio equipment in the courtroom. But we're going to get live reporting once again, once there's a continuation of testimony. And once there is, we will report in real time what that testimony is, and we will break it down for you in real time, as well as take your questions in this case. So Cameron, got a question for you. This is from Vanessa. Do you think the lack of vocal support from celebrities is very telling to the jury? Nobody's come to Diddy's aid and defend him. Well, in all fairness, it hasn't gone to his side yet. His case hasn't started yet. But what do you think?
Yeah, they realize it's a really tricky situation, and there's a lot of evidence against them. So their PR teams are pretty sophisticated, I would think, each celebrity, and they will say, absolutely do not touch this under any circumstance. Even if there is some support, that would not be a good idea. But it does also lend credence to the fact that some of these allegations are true, because if you had an overwhelming number of people saying, it wasn't, it would be hard for all these publicists and PR companies to be working, together to prevent that from getting out.
They know it's true. They just don't want it to be true. They want to be able to have free sex, what they call.
We got a question here from Safa, did you put an own question from you to yourself? I hope you did. If not, we got another Safa here.
I did that.
Okay, yeah, I think you did. Safa, got a question from you from Safa. What are the accusations? Why are the accusations in the Lil Rod case not being discussed? It shows even more RICO. So just to provide a little context here, talking about Rodney Lil Rod Jones, one of the first people to file a lawsuit against Sean Combs, I believe in February 2024.
Is it in a different state?
Former producer made a ton of accusations that he was basically assaulted by Combs, harassed by Combs, that he was groomed into homosexual sex for Combs, said he was a witness to violence, that he was sex trafficked. He alleged violations of the RICO laws. But I remember, leading up to this case, there was a filing where the defense had said that the government's not going to be calling producer one. I made it the point at the time, I think that's Lil Rod. Maybe, if that's the truth, is that because, that his allegations might not be relevant or they might be weak?
They definitely could be irrelevant. They definitely could be weak. I mean, I'm not too familiar with the lawsuit, but what I will say is there's probably some truth to it, and probably some things that may not be completely true. And the government is going to be very careful about who they pick as their witnesses. They want individuals who have, they're credible witnesses. They usually don't like to call people to testify, and I don't know what Mr. Rod, his background is, but individuals who have a heavy background or heavy criminal history, they want to stay away from individuals like that. I don't know if that's his case. I think that because he filed the civil suit as well, that gives him a motive to testify in a particular way, which the defense can certainly attack if he's on the stand. Now, again, if some of the things taken are true, could they be relevant? Absolutely. But does the government need to use him as a witness? Would they truly benefit in having him testify? They may not, so they probably stayed away from him.
Yeah, and look, he showed up the first week of court. I think day one he showed up outside of court, I think probably in a moment of solidarity. But yeah, no indication right now he's going to testify. So also, besides the questions that we have up, we also have a poll up. We keep putting these polls up during the course of the case. So on YouTube, we had a question. Do you believe the allegations of workplace abuse, unpaid overtime, threats against Combs?
Absolutely.
And get this, Cameron, 88% say yes, 12% say no. So when it comes to what the environment was like for these assistants, and we've heard a number of them so far, it seems the majority of people, at least on YouTube, believe him. We don't know what the jury believes, but that's quite telling, no?
That is definitely not enough money to pull me in no organized crime.
And you have to remember, jurors are usually employees. They're usually not employers. So they've either been part of an organization where maybe there was a hostile environment, or they've had bosses or employers who have treated them poorly. So they can commiserate, they can see when something's believable or not, and when multiple people are saying the same thing, we should believe them.
Great question from D Princess. It happened earlier today. There was a whole back and forth about DNA that might have been found on the car or in relation to the car, Kid Cudi's car being blown up. Again, if the jury accepts that arson is one of the underlying crimes of racketeering. I'll throw it to you, Safa. This is a question from D Princess. The prosecutors don't seem to want the DNA results to the car being admitted into court. Why don't they think that is? This is about Kid Cudi's car. So just let me read you a little bit from the transcript, or a portion of the transcript from this morning. The judge said, I see you burned the midnight oil over the weekend. What about the DNA questions? Prosecutor says, Investigator Jimenez's knowledge of this is extremely limited. The judge says, but didn't he ask the serologist if any DNA test was done? Prosecutor says, but not the results. Prosecutor says, yes, there was a partial profile from the glass bottle in the car, but Investigator Jimenez does not know what that means. But and then the judge cut the prosecutor off. Cut the prosecutor off, saying, you don't object to the report coming in, only what Mr. Agnifilo will ask. That's one of Sean Combs' defense attorneys. Prosecutor says, we do object to the report coming in. Agnifilo responds, we got the results back, he got the results back. If the DNA came back with Sean Combs' DNA, this investigation would have gone in a different direction. But it was consistent with a female contributor. So then the judge followed up. So it's not whether the result was accurate, only the impact. And then the judge said, I'm going to overrule the objection, but I'll hear you at sidebar after the direct, There's a little bit more back and forth in that. So it seems to me, Safa, right, there might be evidence to suggest that Sean Combs' DNA either wasn't on the car, maybe not tying him to the arson, and maybe that's a problem for the prosecution. What do you think?
Yeah, it's definitely not going to look good for the prosecution. And in a perfect world, the prosecutors would love to have his DNA in that vehicle or on that Molotov cocktail. I don't think that kills their theory, though. There is testimony that we expect, or there's evidence that indicates that DNA evidence was that of a woman. What woman or who, we don't know at this point in time, depending on if they were able to figure out whose DNA that was. If that person so happened to work for Mr. Combs and was doing that or created that Molotov cocktail, put it in the vehicle at his direction, then that's a win for the government. But it's not the greatest position for the government that it was a female's DNA. They, of course, would love for it to be Mr. Combs, but that's just not the case here.
Again, if you go back to the idea of how RICO used to be prosecuted, and you talk about a mafia organization, investigation, you're not going to see the Don's fingerprints on the gun at all times. I mean, that's the point. Got a question for you, Cameron. This is from Nest Dog. Do you think 50 Cent is going to testify?
Oh, it's baby.
I don't think so. I don't necessarily see the direct relevance there. I don't know how, the prosecution can use him effectively or more effectively than some other celebrities. And he's sort of...
Well, we know they have a rivalry, and it came up, I think, a little bit during Capricorn Clark's testimony today regarding like a rivalry between them.
Yeah, I don't know if that's enough. I think we talked earlier about kind of keeping the case a little tight. You do want evidence and you do want as many credible witnesses as possible, but, just on that minor point, I don't know if that's enough to bring in 50 Cent. It would, for my selfish reasons, I'd like the entertainment though. I think it'd be kind of hilarious to have 50 Cent come in and then
I would die laughing.
See, the problem with him is he's been quite vocal about this case since it began.
Yeah, exactly. Credibility is not going to be great, and on cross, they're going to point that out pretty quickly.
I mean, he has not missed an opportunity to troll Diddy during the course of this whole case. We know there's bad blood between them. Let me throw a different question to you, Ken.
Do they know Gina?
Mateo, will anyone testify on
the girl has a baby by 50? Do they know that?
Parties. But there were people who testified about being part of the freak-offs, the escorts. I guess it's another celebrity question, right? Do you interpret that? Is that assuming that these freak-offs included people that weren't just the alleged victims and the alleged paid escorts, I guess?
Attention to all
they
seniors
must not know that.
ages of 50 and 85. My dad made one phone call.
Denying it even on Diddy's side that there were these freak-offs. Whether they were at parties or not is a separate issue. But we don't know what kind of evidence was taken during the raids. Maybe there's camera footage of certain celebrities involved in those freak-offs.
Don't 50 Cent have a baby with, hi Chris. Don't 50 have a baby with Gina, the missing former girlfriend? Didn't 50 go off on her when he found out that, so you one of his freak-offs? Ain't that the same Gina? Nah, it's bad.
They were making to further the enterprise. So
Sorry.
setting up certain things with respect to the freak-offs, if that was what the government's theory was, or their participation in that.
Can y'all hear now?
Them doing threats of force or physical violence, the security and things of that nature.
Can y'all hear now?
Are a part of that RICO. They could have been charged.
Escorts, I guess it's another celebrity question, right? Do you interpret that? Is that assuming that these freak-offs included people that weren't just the alleged victims and the alleged paid escorts, I guess other people?
Okay, good.
Yeah, again, I don't think the prosecution needs it. I think it's pretty well documented. No one's denying it, even on Diddy's side, that there were these freak-offs. Whether they were at parties or not is a separate issue. But we don't know what kind of evidence was taken during the raids. Maybe there's camera footage of certain celebrities involved in those freak-offs. That would be obviously highly embarrassing and potentially damaging to those celebrities' careers. But at this point, I don't think the concept of whether the freak-offs happened or not is really in dispute.
Safa, go to you. We got a question from Creole Lady Lavu. Isn't it too late about this Kid Cudi stuff? I mean, there is a statute of limitations to press charges.
Well, there is a statute of limitations, but with respect to RICO, there's a broad net with respect to that, and we are within the statute of limitations for that. So maybe on the state side, arson charge for California's statutory limitations, it may have expired. I'm not too familiar with the law over there, but it's fair game here in the RICO case.
By the way, they are officially back in court. So as we said, we're going to give you updates about what's happening and break it down in real time. There is a back and forth between the prosecutor and defense counsel. So the prosecutor says they propose to use communications between Miss Clark and Miss Ventura. We don't see any non-hearsay purpose So I guess this is about how they're cross-examining Capricorn Clark, if I had to imagine. And the defense says, this is Mr. Agnifilo, there are logistics and photo shoots being discussed. She testified to this on direct. What are your takeaways from that back and forth? I know it's quite limited, Safa, but what should we be thinking about here?
What we're going to be thinking about is the impeachment of Capricorn Clark's credibility. So she's already testified. What the defense is going to get ready to do during the cross-examination is cross-examine her and elicit facts that are going to be beneficial to the defense. If there is something that she testified during direct examination that contradicts the defense's theory or that the defense knows not to be true, then they will cross-examine her on that. And one of the things that I expect based on, what we've just discussed is that they could use text messages between her and Ms. Ventura to do that, to impeach her credibility and essentially show that she has not exactly been truthful in her testimony, and also to get more information out of her. A lot of times when the prosecutors have these witnesses come on the stand, the prosecution wants them to tell their own story that's favorable to the prosecution. But the defense has a story too, and I think that's what they're about to prepare for.
Cameron, question from Rel. Has the government come to an agreement with co-defendants?
I don't think so quite yet. I think the main target here is Diddy, right? So I think they want to see show the jury exactly how this conspiracy works, and then, potentially prosecute the defendants as they come. So I don't think there's been a deal, but maybe some. We don't know how large this conspiracy is. There's internet conspiracy theories that this is some widespread racketeering organization. So we don't know that, but I think that'll be revealed in the next few weeks with more witnesses.
Well, so far, Safa, this also goes to another question that we have from one of our viewers, New Order of Kings. Where is the co-defendants for RICO? Some of the assistants were asked about a proffer agreement, about an immunity agreement, which is not surprising because how do you have a racketeering conspiracy criminal enterprise charge if he's doing it alone? They have to have worked out some sort of deals, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, Mr. Combs is solely charged in this indictment, so there are no co-defendants at this point, and there haven't been to this point. However, those individuals that work for that enterprise or work for Mr. Combs, the government has and had the power to charge them. They could have charged them as co-defendants with the contributions that they were making to further the enterprise. So setting up certain things with respect to the freak-offs, if that was what the government's theory was, or their participation in that, them doing threats of force or physical violence, the security and things of that nature. They certainly are a part of that RICO. They could have been charged. My guess is in exchange for their cooperation and testimony with the government has decided not to seek charges against them.
All right.
I've got a question here for you, Cameron, from Never Be. Do you feel that RICO has been proven so far?
I think so. I think there's, tiny points in cross-examination that maybe go to recollection of certain witnesses that might not be perfect. But I think generally what you're seeing is a organization run by Diddy. People are doing their work, forced to do it, to set up these criminal acts. One thing we haven't seen the defense really push back on, and it's almost admitted, is the transportation of drugs across state lines and in different places. It's almost known and admitted that he's using copious amounts of drugs and having people purchase them for him. So that's the least nefarious, predicate act for the racketeering charge, and it's almost a foregone conclusion.
So, okay, we have an update from court. This is from Mr. Agnifilo. So Combs' attorney says, again, I think this is how they plan to cross-examine Capricorn Clark or something of that nature. The direct went more negative than we expected. Their theory is that Ms. Ventura was not permitted to be creative. The judge says in the future, and what you submit overnight, not really sure what that's about. I can't even provide any context on what that's about, so I'm not going to
If you need $950,
Creative.
$2,300,
Because he directed her what to do with
Once
them,
you get DNA off of a
with them
Molotov
Triple X
cocktail,
workers.
fingerprints, sure, but DNA? And also from Nicole RZV, is it possible that the female DNA on Molotov cocktail belongs to Capricorn Clark? If it belongs to her, is she going to face charges?
Well, I'll answer the second question first. That is actually what came to my mind with respect to the Molotov cocktail. Is could it be Capricorn Clark's? Could that be her DNA? We know she was there to some extent, or we know that she was involved, although she was taken against her will, is what it sounds like. So that is a very fair possibility that it could have been her, could have been her DNA. Could she be charged? I doubt it, especially if she engaged in those activities with the threat of force or physical violence. So if Mr. Combs had a weapon with him, he could have forced her to do it. So that's going to negate any intentional act of her doing it at her own free will. With respect to how to get the DNA off that Molotov cocktail, fire fires will oftentimes destroy DNA evidence. So what the government will do is they will try to get, fingerprint evidence if it is available. What they could also try to do is use a buccal swab if possible. So we'll see. We know that they've done something to some effect because they did confirm that the DNA belonged to a female. So,
and we believe that members of the Los Angeles Police Department and LA Fire Department are going to take the stand, and we might get a more in-depth understanding of what the investigation was into this apparent car bombing. Was there an actual car bombing? Does it support Kid Cudi's testimony? What was able to be found? So that's going to be important. Okay. Wow. We have a great super chat question from Notorious77. Thank you so much for your super chat question, your support. Because it's such a great question, I'm going to throw it to both of you. Cameron, I'll start with you. Do you think any rumors, and by the way, it's interesting because now I know why he might have gone with Notorious77. Do you think any rumors or accusations will be addressed about his involvement in Biggie and Tupac deaths? What do you think about that, Cameron?
Well, I'm a big 90s hip-hop fan, so I would love for that to get addressed. That would solve a lot of mysteries and a lot of time I know I've and others spent watching documentaries and doing our own sort of internet research. So I don't necessarily see how it's kind of a airtight situation for the prosecution. The prosecution doesn't want to take any risks, and going into kind of more theory would present some problems and maybe be a bit of a red herring for the jury. So I don't anticipate that, but it's clear that he had some sort of involvement. He's a violent person, and obviously he's hiring people to commit illegal acts on his behalf.
Especially if they were trying to leave.
Maybe, the person that threw the Molotov cocktail in Kid Cudi's car is, a part of an organization or part of the same type of people that committed these acts on Diddy's behalf and murdered these rappers. We don't know. I don't anticipate this case going that way, but again, selfishly for my own entertainment purposes, I would love for that to be addressed.
Me too.
Safa, throw it to you.
Yeah, I unfortunately don't think that any of those things would be relevant in this case. So I don't think that we're going to hear testimony about them, although I know the world would love to hear it and would be waiting to see what, if anything, would be said about it. And you might be surprised, depending on who comes down the line next to testify.
The Gene Deal coming, it's coming out.
Testifies and drops the bomb that Mr. Combs was involved in the death of Biggie Smalls or Tupac. Absolutely. But is it relevant with respect to this case? No, it's not.
Okay, Safa, I need you to make sense of what's happening in court here. So this, again, all goes back to, I think, how is the credibility of Cassandra Ventura going to be challenged? I'm not sure I quite follow this one, and if anybody knows, even my producers, please let me know. Judge says, in their defense submission over the weekend, the defense argued the album covered was relevant, right, Ms. Shapiro? Ms. Shapiro, Alexandra Shapiro, one of Combs' defense attorneys, says yes. Prosecutor says Ms. Ventura is topless with her arms crossed. So judge says, let's have Ms. Clark come back. I'm going to have our producers look into this because I might have been a filing and I might have, we want to just take a look at it. But why would an album cover of Cassandra Ventura be relevant to a case like this, Safa?
Exactly.
Unless she was forced.
Come to mind is, depending on when that cover was created and released, if there were any physical injuries or anything that was covered up or photoshopped with respect to her, if she had injuries during that time. Not only that, but I think a lot of what we've heard about is testimony with regard to her career. Did she have the ability to make certain creative decisions is one of the that has previously been brought up. So perhaps the defense might be taking the angle that, she made the choice to display her own self pretty promiscuously on this particular album cover, that she did have creative control over this album cover, and that Mr. Combs wasn't as...
Saf, I'll tell you what, I pulled it up like this because we have a great team and they have all the documents up quick. So let me just say what it reads. This is from one of the filings. This is from Sean Combs' counsel. It reads as follows. For instance, photographs showing Miss Ventura smiling at public events with Mr. Combs have evidentiary value independent of any testimony that Miss Ventura was happy at times or enjoyed particular events and activities during her relationship with Mr. Combs. Likewise, an album cover, or a photo from a modeling shoot will add a dimension not captured by oral testimony about the fact that Miss Ventura released an album or did modeling work. As the Supreme Court has explained, parties are permitted to present their case in a manner that tells a colorful story with descriptive richness, using testimony and exhibits that have evidentiary depth and communicate.
She was a model before she met him.
So I guess it becomes a question, was she telling the truth about her being a victim of sex trafficking as this was going on, right? Am I understanding it correctly, Safa?
I think that, but I think also, what the defense is going to try to show is that, she was happy. They started off their opening statement saying, this is just a case of domestic violence. This is not a RICO. This is not a sex trafficking case. And domestic violence, unfortunately, happens between couples pretty frequently in this country. And so this was just that. There were happy times. There were bad times. Now we have evidence. And what the defense is going to say is this evidence with respect to her album cover or other events where they attended together as a couple and she appeared happy are certainly relevant and go to the opposite, that, she was willingly in this relationship. She enjoyed this relationship, and what relationship doesn't have hard times? So I think that's where the defense is going with this. Not only that, but I do expect that they are probably going to say that Miss Ventura did have the ability to make money on her own with her modeling gigs outside of her singing career.
That was before Diddy.
Would have some creative control over her career.
Interesting. All right. Got a question. I've got a poll up. Which part of Capricorn Clark's testimony was most shocking to you? Remember, the former assistant testified today. Alleged threats and intimidation, 20%. 50% being kidnapped. So majority of people who polled found that to be the most shocking. 17% being forced to take a lie detector test. So didn't seem that ton of people were that surprised about that, Cameron. And witnessing violence against Cassie, 13%. It's a different kind of case, Cameron. If I said I could present a witness to you who's going to testify, I observed the victim being abused.
A lot of them.
That might be like 90% shocking testimony. But I guess it's because so many people have testified that they witnessed some form of abuse that for our audience, they're not shocked by it.
Yeah, it's almost like with the drug use, it's sort of a foregone conclusion and accepted that there was domestic abuse in this relationship. You have so many witnesses to it. You have so much descriptive evidence. Usually when allegations of abuse, or any allegations for that matter, are super specific, and in Cassie's case they were in her lawsuit, that means they're credible. And so, it shows. The polls sort of are nice, right? Because they show what a jury might be thinking. So if the jury is also thinking, it's a foregone conclusion that there's abuse here, that's really bad for Diddy.
Got a question from Soul Shadow. Since the government said they might finish early, how might that shift the defense's strategy or timeline? Could it backfire if they're underprepared? I'll throw that back to you, Cameron.
I don't think they are. I think, they have enough evidence. They have enough witnesses. They've gone above and beyond. And the points on cross that I've heard, that, for example, with Kid Cudi says his house got robbed and they said, well, did you leave the door open? But that doesn't necessarily show that it wasn't Diddy. There's no other suspects. So, there's tiny points, little jabs possibly that the defense is throwing, but I think their prosecution's landing some haymakers.
All right, got another question. I'll throw this to you, Safa. This is from...
Say that again.
They started off their opening statement saying, this is just a case of domestic violence. This is not a RICO. This is not a sex trafficking case. And domestic violence, unfortunately, happens between couples pretty frequently in this country. And so this was just that. There were happy times. There were bad times. Now we have evidence. And what the defense is going to say is this evidence with respect to her album cover or other events where they attended together as a couple and she appeared happy are certainly relevant and go to the opposite, that, she was willingly in this relationship. She enjoyed this relationship, and what relationship doesn't have hard times? So I think that's where the defense is going with this. Not only that, but I do expect that they are probably going to say that Miss Ventura did have the ability to make money on her own with her modeling gigs outside of her singing career, and that she did somewhat have some creative control over her career.
Interesting. All right. Got a question. I've got a poll up.
What y'all think?
Which part of Capricorn Clark's testimony was most shocking to you? Remember, the former assistant testified today. Alleged threats and intimidation, 20%. 50% being kidnapped. So majority of people who hold the
kidnap
to be the most shocking.
Crucial.
17% being forced to take a lie detector test. So didn't seem that ton of people were that surprised about that, Cameron. And witnessing violence against Cassie, 13%. It's a different kind of case, Cameron. If I said I could present a witness to you who's going to testify, I observed the victim being abused, that might be like 90% shocking testimony. But I guess it's because so many people have testified that they witnessed some form of abuse that for our audience, they're not shocked by it.
Yeah, it's almost like with the drug use, it's sort of a foregone conclusion and accepted that there is domestic abuse in this relationship. You have so many witnesses to it. You have so much descriptive evidence. Usually when allegations of abuse, or any allegations for that matter, are super specific, and in Cassie's case they were in her lawsuit, that means they're credible. And so, it shows... The polls sort of are nice, right? Because they show what a jury might be thinking. So if the jury is also thinking, it's a foregone conclusion that there's abuse here, that's really bad for Diddy.
Got a question from Soul Shadow. Since the government said they might finish early, how might that shift the defense's strategy or timeline? Could it backfire if they're underprepared? I'll throw that back to you, Cameron.
I don't think they are. I think, they have enough evidence. They have enough witnesses. They've gone above and beyond.
Yeah,
the points on cross that I've heard that, for example, with Kid Cudi says his house got robbed and they said, well, did you leave the door open? But that doesn't necessarily show that it wasn't Diddy. There's no other suspects. So, there's tiny points, little jabs possibly that the defense is throwing, but I think they're prosecution's landing some haymakers.
All right, got another question.
Haymakers.
I'll throw this to you, Safa. This is from K. Morgan. Will the defense bring any of Diddy's family members to the stands? And that also, would be his children, right?
It's certainly possible. I would say anybody that testifies, they have to have relevant information with respect to the case. Could they call his children? Sure. Is it in good taste? Probably not. I probably would stay away from the kids, but it's certainly possible, especially if he has family members that he's worked with that will, and it'll be interesting to see if he actually has any character witnesses testify on his behalf. Those witnesses may so happen to be family members or people that are very near and dear to him. I think, again, you should stay away from the kids, but it's possible he'll have some family testify.
Okay, we got an update from court. Judge, now let's bring the jury back in. The jury's entering. Sean Combs' defense counsel, Mark Agnifilo, is cross-examining Capricorn Clark. When he went into the park, it was to Tavern on the Green. Capricorn Clark responds, we parked there earlier in the day in the park. We ran into Nas, who's a very famous rapper himself. And of course, this is, I believe, the start of her working relationship with Sean Combs. Got a question from Hedgehog the Fencer. What is the standard of proof for this case? Beyond reasonable doubt? Yes, beyond the reasonable doubt. Criminal case. That's what we're looking at here. Okay, question for you, Cameron. This is from Rel. Did the government lie about the amount of baby oil? So far, only showed 20 bottles seized in Miami. Now, I don't remember off the top of my head how many were found, but remember there were 2 properties that were ultimately searched. But, I mean, they talk about thousands of bottles of baby oil. I don't remember if there was just 20, but what do you think? Do you think they were misrepresenting how much baby oil?
No, again, there's no reason to do that. That would be pretty stupid. And they raided multiple properties. And, there's pictures that, we're seeing here of so much baby oil. So I don't think it was, circumscribed to just 20. Maybe there wasn't an exact count on the number, but an estimation of something like over 1,000. So that wouldn't be a lie if it's just an estimate.
Safa, over to you. Question from Enlin93. Does the furthering the enterprise in this case, so that's part of the RICO case, right? Everybody's working together to further the goals of the enterprise, a common purpose. Does the furthering the enterprise in this case translate to make Diddy happy? Because I guess unless he's selling the tapes on the dark web, it's not making him more money, right? I guess the question is, how is this helping him maybe financially or what the situation is? Because it's not like he's making freak-off tapes, selling them, because in another kind of racketeering case, it would be making this illegal sex tapes for some sort of commercial profit. But is it to just make him happy? Is that enough for racketeering? Is that
his porn collection?
Enterprise?
Not enough, and that's going to be the interesting question here that the jurors are going to have to consider. And of course, we've got more time and more witnesses that we expect to testify in the coming weeks. But how has the enterprise been furthered? And there's no indication or testimony that I've either at least learned of that would show that there was any financial gain from anybody doing any of these activities. And we know that Mr. Combs and his bad boy enterprise, has been long-standing for decades at this point, and they've produced very high-profile singers and artists. So there's a means of them making money in that way. I don't know that it's based off of doing these freak-offs. So could it likely be just to make Mr. Combs happy? Is that enough? I don't think so.
We got an update from court. So Sean Combs' attorney Mark Agnifilo questioning Capricorn Clark.
Hold on, y'all. So TMZ says Cassie is in labor. Cassie has been rushed to the hospital. She is in labor. Ooh-wee. Let's go, Cassie. Okay.
When you say he had Miss Ventura spin, who was there? Let me show you what you said, excuse me. You said Lorianne Gibson was there. Capricorn Clark responds, they misheard me. Agnifilo says, when did you first meet Cassie Ventura? I met her with Ryan Leslie. Now, as I'm listening to this, Cameron raises a bigger question, right? How has the defense been doing at cross-examining these witnesses and striking at their credibility? Because there was testimony today regarding Capricorn Clark. She might have wanted to continue her work with Diddy, despite the fact that she claims she didn't want to work there anymore. She was in this toxic environment. We saw a similar line of cross-examination earlier in the trial with other people who were around Diddy. So it does make you question, how effective have they been at cross-examining these witnesses?
I think they've done a great job. They don't have that much to work with, unfortunately, but they are excellent attorneys. I think they're doing a good job of poking, like I said earlier, little jabs. But when you're getting haymakers thrown at you, there's not really much you can do. I think the facts are the facts and the evidence is the evidence, and it's overwhelming. So it puts them really in a tough spot.
You say it's overwhelming, but I'll go to you, Safa. This question from Soul Shadow. Would a hung jury on RICO, but a conviction on lesser charges, be considered a win or a loss for the prosecution?
To be considered a loss for the prosecution. You know, the prosecution is going to want a guilty verdict on each and every count of the indictment. In a perfect world, that's what they're looking for. In my opinion, it would be a loss if they didn't come, you know, with a guilty verdict on the RICO. And all the time and the effort and the money that they put into prosecuting this case, I think also, you know, would be a loss for them as well, but definitely a win for the defense.
Got a question here for you. Well, actually, it's not a question. It's more of a, let's read the report. Like, let me go back to the reported testimony, and then I want your reaction to this, Cameron. So Mark Agnifilo, Sean Combs' defense attorney, asks Capricorn Clark, Diddy's former assistant, why'd you not get along with Cassie sometimes? She responds, in 2008, she got more bravado being his girlfriend the longer it lasted. She thought I was being paid to help her. And then the prosecutor objects. The judge said sustained. Re-ask. That is an interesting line of testimony, because isn't it being built up maybe that Capricorn Clark, I don't know, are they trying to say was jealous, that she had issues with Cassie, that she had her own feelings towards Combs? I'm curious where you think they're going with that.
Yeah, or that Cassie was taking a role in everything that Diddy was doing, and it wasn't necessarily coerced, but now she feels this presence. She's a star. She's, you know, the most important person in Diddy's life, and she can pretty much do everything. So in theory, she could leave Diddy if she wanted, but she's willing there. She's participating, and she's taking advantage of the employees herself.
Another update from court. This is for you, Safa. So Agnifilo says, what did you see? Capricorn Clark's response, she went from being a sweet model to being a feisty girlfriend. Agnifilo says, do you think she was talented? She had talent, was very beautiful, but not talented? She was not. I have good taste. Ooh, harsh. That was harsh. What do you think of that, Safa?
That's why
very interesting. And I think what the defense is doing here, and they're doing a great job at it, is, and like what I said earlier, there's two sides to every story. You know, the prosecution got to put Capricorn Clark on and elicit testimony in their favor. Now the defense has the opportunity to do the same. And what you're now hearing from the defense is this interesting relationship between Capricorn Clark and Cassie Ventura. Now, this was, of course, at the initial stages, and it seems like they may have gotten closer later. But I think what I'm hearing from this testimony is that Miss Ventura was not this meek sort of
School of Rock. Follow a failed wannabe rock star who decides to earn a bit of cash by posing as a substitute teacher.
She was fiery, she made decisions, she made demands, and things of that sort. So I think that the defense is eliciting that in order to make a showing that she wasn't just a victim here, that she made decisions on her own, that she, you know, was feisty and things of that nature, which would negate, you know, this idea that Mr. Combs was in so much control of her and her career.
Cameron, I mean, as we talk about final thoughts before we wrap things up, do you think the defense did, I mentioned about an effective job cross-examining other witnesses, do you think that they tarnished her credibility, confronting her with a lot of her text messages between her and Combs about setting up freak-offs, encouraging them? What were her motivations? Do you think that her credibility has taken a hit?
I think it's taken a small hit. It's definitely not tarnished. You know, just to piggyback off of something Safa said earlier, I absolutely agree with her that if one of the charges hung jury and, you know, conviction on lesser charges, that's technically a win for the defense. But if Diddy has to spend significant amount of jail time, regardless of what charge he's convicted on, that's a loss. That's a major loss. So, you know, again, the defense only has so much to work with here. They are doing a great job, but I still don't think that they have enough to totally discredit these witnesses and support a defense verdict.
Interesting. All right, so Safa, I'll give you the final word. Who's winning this case right now as we're in week 3?
Oh, it's a tough call. I think that the prosecution is winning by just a smidge. You know, I don't know that they've established enough to make a finding of guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, because the government has to prove each and every single element of each and every offense. And I think that there are some significant questions that the jurors are going to have to ask themselves with respect to credibility. And, you know, with the domestic violence, with the sex transactions, and all of those sorts of things. So the jurors are going to have to really ask some interesting questions. I think the prosecution is having a win today, at least to this point. Today, Capricorn Clark appears to have been kidnapped, but we'll see. The defense isn't really too far behind, in my opinion.
By the way, more updates.
Not too far behind.
Clark said about Cassie, talented to me is Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey. Cassie, she was more of a studio musician. She needed things equalized.
Somebody being kidnapped.
Combs defense attorney
Yeah,
asked, did she
please.
perform live? A couple times. Not the greatest. Was she a hard worker? At times. Okay, so that will continue. Listen, really interesting back and forth about this. I really appreciate you both taking the time to not only break down the intricacies of this case, taking our viewer questions, and what great questions
Let's go
we got.
to, oh girl, hold on. Oh, hold on. Let me check. I forgot I was lagging behind. Let me see. Hold on, y'all. Let me get to. Oh, girl.
I was wondering where the organized crime was. For anybody that was wondering where everything is, baby, it was today on Capricorn Clark's testimony. This has to be the most devastating day of
Shout out to
testimony
Tisa.
known to man. Y'all, I am not joking. Let's get into this. When I say Capricorn Clark ended Diddy, she ended Diddy. I don't know how Diddy is going to recover from this. I don't know how the prosecution is going to recover. When we left, we're out on break. The prosecution did a cross-examination, right? However, the cross-examination was not working at all. Y'all, it was an absolute complete mess. Hold on real quick, y'all. All right, guys. All right, I'm back. When I say it was an absolute mess, for Diddy, it's an absolute mess. You want to see the Rico, Capricorn came with it. You want to see what's going on? Capricorn ended Diddy. It was on a cross-examination when we left. Mark Agatha wasn't saying issue about, like, well, you said he was a good person. Maybe enough about the good person. I'm sure somebody said the devil's a good person. It's time for, listen, let's get into these details because I only got like a half hour. And when I say, look at these notes, right?
This is Pod 5, the first fully immersive sleep system. Intelligent.
Details, because I only got like a half hour. And when I say, look at these notes, right? Look at these notes. Look at these notes. When I say that Capricorn Clark did what needed to be done, now, where do we start? All right, I'm gonna try to see if I can get Capricorn Clark on the channel after this trial is over, because baby, when she told her story, everybody was listening, and the story to tell was absolutely amazing. Diddy, your career's ride is here. Diddy, that ambulance is picking up. Diddy's last hope of ever walking away as a free man. Baby, we are only on week 3, and Diddy has been ended. Week 3, day 1, so this is day 10, and his whole defense is up in smoke. Y'all, let's get into this. Let's get into this, all right? Now, coming in, right? Diddy had on a black sweater. He had his hair, I don't know, I guess he got the prison barber to shape him up. It didn't look like a prison barber was his friend. It looked like he was doing like a high top kid and play, but a low one. I did notice that underneath his white hair, it was black, which led me to believe, were you actually... It led me to believe, like, is the gray hair real? You know what I'm saying? Tamara Yada, thank you so much for the super chat, okay? Now, they did have a jury expert that was reading a jury on jury Diddy's side watching. I think her name is Miss Morelli. We're going to get into that. That was Diddy. That's her, Holly, his PR person. She is very good at what she does, but Holly can't fix a dumpster driver. That's her in the green dress going in. Holly cannot fix a dumpster driver. She is good at what she does, but Diddy, you got to give Holly some type of fabric, all right? Brian Steele was drinking from a pink water bottle. Lol. I believe he grabbed his wife or his daughter's water bottle in the midi. I made a note that Diddy pulled Tinny Garagos' chair out for a night, but lol, such a gentleman. When he's not throwing baby oil at people or drop kicking someone, he's pulling chairs out like a southern gentleman. Lol. Okay, right? Now, a couple of questions. We're going to talk about who Mia is and who Jane Doe is. I don't think it's KK because whatever, but there's more. Hold on, y'all. All right. They do a little offside about DNA testing because there's a witness saying that there was partial female DNA found on Kid Cudi's car and the Molotov cocktail. We gotta talk about that all later because who cares about that? Let's get into the real mess. Capricorn Clark stepped in. She sashayed into that courtroom. She had a high-waisted, long, to her feet, pinstripe pencil skirt. I said, oh, look at you. She had these burgundy pumps with, burgundy slip-ons with like these rhinestone detail. She had on a white shirt. She looked amazing. Her hair was in the central part, pulled back, and she had on some glasses. Given sexy secretary, but court appropriate, right? Zandra Roper, thank you so much for the super chat. What's up, you guys? We are back. We're outside the courthouse. We are back. Capricorn Clark just destroyed Diddy, and I have all the notes, and you know I'm going to give y'all the dramatic reinterpretation. Diddy is not coming back from this. Okay, so get this. Capricorn Clark comes in, and she said she was born in San Fran, but she lived in LA, right? She said she came out in 1996. She started music. She was an intern at Just Jam Records. Y'all want a preview? She literally said that Diddy said that she was going to murk her, Kid Cudi, and Cassie. Diddy made Cassie switch pieces with Capricorn Clark. She kidnapped Capricorn Clark, would not release her until Cassie traded herself in, and then Capricorn Clark proceeded to see Diddy kick Cassie brutally and stomp her down for about 50 minutes. No, 50 yards. It was a lot. Okay? So anyway, right? She started out, and that's not even the whole thing. She started off as an intern for Def Jam Records. Her mom passed away. Her dad passed away. I do want to say this. I feel like Diddy was in the central part, pulled back, and she had on some glasses. Given sexy secretary, but court appropriate, right? Zandra Roper, thank you so much for the super chat. What's up, you guys? We are back. We're outside the courthouse. We are back. Capricorn Clark just destroyed Diddy, and I have all the notes, and you know I'm going to give y'all the dramatic reinterpretation. Diddy is not coming back from this. Okay, so get this. Capricorn Clark comes in, and she said she was born in San Fran, but she lived in LA, right? She said she came out in 1996. She started music. She was an intern at Just Jam Records. Y'all want a preview? She literally said that Diddy said that she was going to murk her, Kid Cudi, and Cassie. Diddy made Cassie switch places with Capricorn Clark. She kidnapped Capricorn Clark, would not release her until Cassie traded herself in, and then Capricorn Clark proceeded to see Diddy kick Cassie brutally and stomp her down for about 50 minutes. No, 50 yards. It was a lot. Okay? So anyway, right? She started out, and that's not even the whole thing. She started off as an intern for Def Jam Records. Her mom passed away. Her dad passed away. I do want to say this. I feel like Diddy is always picking someone and finding their inner hurts, right? Summer of Sam said, where's Ray J and Busta and the rest of the support for Diddy? Diddy don't got nobody there. The only person that came there late, it looked like a few family members and Janice Combs, but Janice Combs came in there late, so I don't know. She looked like somebody made her show up. Anyway, right? Let's see. She said that she had signed on to Death Row Records. She attended college, but I don't think she finished. She had signed on for Death Row Records. She got signed. They said, how'd you get signed? She said, Suge Knight is a father of my BF, my best friend's children, right? They said she came with Diddy Bad Boy in 2004, right? From 2004 to 2012, and then again from, I think, 2016 to 2018, she worked for Capricorn. She worked for Diddy. Jody Johnson Strong, what's up? Welcome. Y'all, listen, the details get great. I'm just started off slow so we can get into the shocking stuff, right? They said in December 2011, she hit the ground running. She said, I was kidnapped. I worked for him after, and then he terminated me. So listen to this. They said that she met Diddy around 2002, more or less. She moved to New York City. She said she was always platonic friends with Diddy. She got a call from the Jennifer Group, a headhunter, right? To be saying, listen, there's a wealthy tycoon who specializes in clothing entertainment, and he needs a personal assistant. She said she called Puff because she knew this girl, Janet, who I think at one time dated Diddy, but they weren't dating. They just all hung out together. To be like, yo, listen, also, Capricorn Clark was held hostage, right? We're talking about Capricorn Clark, Scorpio. Alejandro Andro, people, welcome. Thank you for the super chat. And Tracy Souls, thank you for the super chat. Again, who am I talking about? Capricorn Clark. Capricorn Clark was held hostage for 5 days by Diddy while he threatened to murder her because he was missing jewelry. Hey, what's up, James? Hibiscus Rose was up for the super chat, right? Listen, Diddy, ADOLPH, Black Letter Law, yes, it is. The bodyguards wore BITCHs. You guys, I'm trying to get the story out, but when I say it is so tragic, it is so long, but I got 20 minutes to get the story out, so I'm going to try to get it out as soon as possible. The whole world is blowing up my phone. Zandra Roberts says, do you think Mia is Allie Carter? Mia used to be one of Diddy's assistants. I don't think Allie Carter ever worked for Diddy. But hey, you never know. I don't know Allie Carter's whole backstory. Anyway, you guys, let's get back into this. Also, Jody Johnson. Yes, sorry, thank you for the super chat. Okay, so where are we at? Oh, one more person. Table Talk with Mimi Exclusive said, hey, Tista, because of you, I got more subs. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome, Table Talk with Mimi. Okay, so they said that she started off as Diddy's personal assistant. Let me sit down for this because this is good. All right. She said that she started off as Diddy's personal assistant in 2004 to 2006, right? Then she shadowed him, all right? Then she left in 2006, only to return in 2007. She was the director of marketing for Sean John's Women Global, right? She said she got a pay increase. She worked there for 1 year. Then she got promoted to the global brand of Sean Combs in 2008 to 2012. We're going to fill in the dates, but just keep those dates in mind, right? Janice Combs at that time walked in with this bad little 27 piece like platinum thing, wearing a cream and black shirt, okay? Now, she said that in 2016, she was re-employed as creative director for Cassie in 2018, okay? She said in 2004, they showed the thing of 1440 Broadway, all right? Now, she said on her very first day starting, Diddy and J-Rock.
A trick of ice, water, salt, and lemon has gone viral in the last month on networks. User report loss of up to £1.
Diddy and J-Rock took her to Central Park at night when it was dark. Diddy and J-Rock took her to Central Park after dark, all right? I'm sorry, Diddy and Uncle Paul, not J-Rock, Diddy and Uncle Paul, they went to Central Park, right? Uncle Paul ran Green Gate Security, right? They said, how did Uncle Paul look? They said he was very menacing, kind of like a linebacker. He was always wearing blackout glasses, right? He said he took her out to the park. They said, what did Diddy take you to Central Park for? She said, he took me out there to threaten my life. I said, what? She had my attention. I sat all the way up, right? She said, he told her, she told me he would have blanked me if she had anything to do with Suge Knight. And if anything happened, right? They said, how was Diddy? She said, he was dead calm and dead serious. You guys, this is just the beginning of what Diddy was up to. It gets worse. They said, what did you do? She said, I believed him. She said, what did Uncle Paul do? She said, Uncle Paul said nothing. He was just sitting there looking calm and stoic, but menacing, right? Then they said, where's Uncle Paul? She said, I said, well, we're going to have to see. And they were like, why did you say that? She said, because there was nothing I could do to convince him that she wasn't the ops. So she said, we're going to have to see, right? And then she said, the one thing she does regret is she said, I wish I had been more transparent. Transparent about what? Transparent about how tight he was with Suge Knight. Yeah. Come. Hold on really quick, you guys.
How tight who was with Suge?
A little bit. Why don't you introduce yourself really quick?
So the world knows me as Relentless, by the way. But I'm Gilmore. Gilmore versus Combs is the case.
He actually sued Diddy.
I was on the fall of Diddy. I think I'm episode 4 or 5. But I'll get to it. Basically,
we get back to the story in 1 second. All right.
He and his band of thugs ambushed us one night in New York. Me and my security and my intern, and we were out doing. business. We were out doing business. Collecting money. I had a magazine and a TV show at the time. I'm 60.
Oh wow, you look fantastic. I would have never guessed. Listen, we're going to have him on later to actually talk about it. But if anybody wants more information, because his story very much shadows what Capricorn Clark looked through. What's your book?
The Night Puff Tried to Kill Me.
He has a book out called The Night Puff Tried to Kill Me.
It's on Amazon.
On Amazon.
I wondered why you're on TikTok.
No, this is YouTube.
YouTube.
So listen, we got to get back into the live because we have to go in soon.
Lord.
We are going to
traumatizing to be up in the courtroom today to hear her, because I understood why she didn't say what she did, why she didn't speak out. You know, he had the stronghold mentally and otherwise on her economics, on her livelihood, and it's just sad. I felt for all of the, I felt for all the victims that don't have a voice.
Exactly.
There's so many people that he probably did this to that couldn't get their word out, did not get the information. So yeah, it's sad. I just want to see.
Wow, y'all. Are y'all, can y'all hear this?
Listen, you guys, we're gonna try to have him back on. Make sure you check out his book, The Night Puff Tried to
K me.
Tried to K me, okay? And why don't you tell everybody really quick your socials, and then we gonna get back into the Capricorn Clark.
I'm Relentless Aaron everywhere. I'm on all the stuff.
AARON. Relentless AARON. Make sure you check him out.
We appreciate your work.
Oh, thank you so much. Listen,
the people that do the $2 donations and the $5 and the 10, and, you know, but you have people that drop to $2,200 every now and then.
Well, listen, we're gonna have Relentless Aaron on the channel to talk about, but make sure you go support. Thank you so much, Aaron.
And it's the fall of Diddy. That's where you can
see him. Episode 5 or 6.
Yeah, but there's so much out there. But we love you. We just
want thank you so much, Relentless. All right,
to be in person. Okay?
Thank you so much. Okay, also Andrea M. Boltman said, "I love you, T-Sing. You're doing a great job. Thank you so much." Also, Honeybee Therapy, thank you for the super chat. And who else? Okay, so we're gonna have Relentless Aaron on. Go ahead and show him some love. Grab that book. But when I say what he said happened to him, definitely happened similar to Capricorn. All right. So anyway, where we last left our beleaguered demon Diddy, he had Capricorn Clark out in the middle of Central Park talking about some, you know, if I find out anything, you are done for. She said all she could do was show him. Uncle Paul was just sitting there looking stoic. Nobody did anything, right? Then they said it wasn't long before Capricorn Clark met up with, Uncle Paul was in charge of the security of the principal. It wasn't long before after that she met Roger Bonds, D-Rock, and Ruben. D-Rock, Biggie's best friend. Ruben was D-Rock's little brother. Roger Bonds, y'all know Roger Bonds, right? They said that they were all big, intimidating guys. They said how often was Diddy's security around him? They said all day and night. Macy, thank you so much for the super chat, right? Then they said that around that thing, they said that the first time she saw Diddy with a gun, right, is when security was around him the entire day. She saw Diddy with the gun because they were doing MTV Press, okay? She even bought 50 cents to this, right? MTV Press. Puff, Chris Lightly at that time was super talented, but he was also 50 Cent's manager. Chris Lightly and Capricorn Clark into the elevator, right? Chris Lightly was 50 Cent's manager. They were like da-da-da-da-da-da. Do you remember Diddy being like, I don't like that back and forth. I like guns. And she saw Diddy with the gun, right? They said, what was Diddy's demeanor? They said Diddy was very, very, very serious, right? She said in 2004 she was accused of theft. You guys, this was a 5-day kidnapping. Listen to this mess. Diddy is done. I don't care. Remember all those people last week? Oh my God, Diddy's done. He's done, guys. Anyway, you hood realist Tisa, click on my name and mob me up so I can delete spammers and disrespectful people in the chat. I'm trying to hold on, the hood realer. Also, Candy Ortiz said, hey, beautiful, you are the best. You guys, listen. Ignore the Diddy spammer. Diddy spammer's working overtime because he is literally about to go to jail. This fool is done. Ignore them. Baby, let that be the Roman Empire. They are done. Anyway, right. Get into this 5-day kidnapping. So in 2004, she's got
Hold on, y'all. Hold on, please. Can you?
necklace with a cross, a bracelet, and a watch. It was on loan from Jacob Jewelry, right? They had given it to Puff so he could take it down to Miami, okay? Capricorn Clark was in charge of the bag. She said that they were driving to the private jet to go down to Miami, and she realized that the jewelry was missing, right? She was like, yo, yo, stop the car. They were right outside Teterboro Airport. He told security to stop the car, okay? She then called 1440 and said, yo, lock that place down and search everyone. They said that Diddy left for Miami and then told her, yo, you're gonna have to figure all this out, right? She said Capricorn Clark went back with Uncle Polly. Capricorn Clark was in question in the office for 2 to 3 hours. She went home after that. Paul went to her home and searched her house. He then said, yo, I'm gonna be back tomorrow because we need to figure things out, right? She came into, so she said the next morning, Uncle Polly showed up, right? Uncle Polly showed up at her house the next day. He took her to this place called 1710 Broadway. Now, back then, she didn't know what that was, but she later found out that that was the new offices of. She then found out that that was the new offices for Bad Boy. But back then, it wasn't an office. She said it was dilapidated. It looked like it's an abandoned office building. Nobody was working in there, okay? She said that they went to the front door. She went to the front door with Polly. There was old furniture, things falling out the wall. It was a hot mess. They said, then what happened? She said that when she went in, somebody from outside locked her in the building with Polly. Already, you know me, I would have been clawing for my life. I would have been clawing for my life. I would have been screaming, yelling. You know I love to call the police, okay? They said, she said the floors were old, torn up, dilapidated. It looked abandoned. She had no idea what it was or where it is because they had moved into those offices and nobody knew about it, right? She was taken to the 6th floor. The 6th floor was even more torn up and dilapidated, right? She said there was stuff hanging everywhere. She said in the middle of that room, there was a 6-foot folding table in the middle of that room, okay? And there was this big, wide guy, the size of 2 linebackers. He was short, but he was wide. He said, now Capricorn Clark is thin, but she ain't that thin. She said this guy was 5 times my size, sitting there, right? He never stood up. He was chain smoking the whole time, drinking black coffee. DJ Pauly bought her, I keep saying DJ Pauly, shout out to Jersey Shore, bought her to that room and left her there, okay? Left her there with that guy. Now, he did say Pauly kept popping in here and there, but the whole point she was bought there was to take lie detects. He said, listen, the linebacker said, no, I need you to be very, very honest with me. And she was like, okay. And they were like, do you know what happens if you lie to me? And she was like, what? And she's like, if we find out you're lying, if you fail this lie detector test, we're going to throw you in the East River. All right?
Oh,
now,
wow.
this guy, Mark Agnifili, is like, yeah, we object. He asked to approach for a sidebar, right? Terry and Brian stayed there with Diddy. They're whispering. They are upset, baby. This looks bad. Mark comes back from the sidebar looking happy. I don't know what for, because when Capricorn Clark started talking, it was just like curtains, right? Maybe he looked happy because he felt like he threw off the prosecution's game. Y'all, it was bad in there. Hold on, y'all. Listen, first we're talking about her being kidnapped and held hostage for 5 days. Then we're going to get into the way he said he was going to murk Kid Cudi. You guys, this is bad. Nikki's 3,000, thank you so much for the super chat. Also, Glimmer Girl said, thank you for your tenacity and your awesome reporting. Good luck. I can't wait to hear more. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Also, Tracy Trelove said, I think his security stole his jewelry money. Probably. Glimmer Girl, thank you so much for the super chat. And also, Eileen Bell, thank you so much for the super chat. Okay, right?
Today we are setting up this Chick-fil-A employee for anything she wants. You could pick any item you want. I'll go get it for you.
So anyway, okay, so listen. Anyway, the prosecution jumps right back into it. Beverly Ann said, thank you for the updates. Much appreciated. Thank you. And Unreal O, thank you so much for the super chat. Okay, so it gets more. Hold on, y'all. It's getting more, right? So anyway, the prosecution jumps right back in. And they were like, yo, this sounds very serious, right? On direct. How were they? She said the guy was very dead serious. He was direct. There were no frills. He said that she said that she was petrified. Now, why she's doing this, her voice is like, she is getting cheered up. She sounds a mess. She said he was petrified, right? She said, I love let them administer the lie detector test. I didn't think I had a choice. Betty MG, thank you so much for the super chat, right? She said she didn't want to take the lie detector test. She said she felt she had to do it or something bad would happen. While she's saying this, guys, her throat is cracking. When I say I was teared up, but the good thing I saved my tears for later because, she said, that he was asking her stuff like, did you steal? Did you plan to steal? Did you work with someone to steal? Do you know who stole, right? They were like, what was the result of the test? She said it was inconclusive, right? She said that she was so petrified and scared, probably crying, that the guy giving the test was like, yo, you need to calm down. This is inconclusive. You need to calm down. Because if you don't calm down, because when you're too hyper, they can't tell when you're lying or not. If you don't calm down, then you're going to be in the East River. If we don't get a reading on this, and maybe he was not playing, he was very, 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 very serious, okay? Wanda Perez, thank you so much for the super chat. Kip Raymond Barron said, hey, I love your hair. It's a halfway. Thank you. Tell my fortune, lol. Embrace it. I appreciate all you do. Keep up the good work. Okay, right? These half-looks be saving my life when I got 20 minutes to get out. Heat damage, where? Anyway, right? You need to calm down or you're going to end up in the East River. They said, how long were you there? She said, I was there for the full work day. Paul would drop in intermediately here and there, but for the most part, I was alone with that man. Paul told me, that's the head of Diddy security, that I couldn't leave. Don't forget the door from the street on Broadway was locked from the outside. She said she didn't attempt to leave. She said she thought she had to prove her innocence because if she didn't, that she was going to be murked. They said Paul came at the end of the day and took her home and then said to her, I'll be back tomorrow to figure it out, okay? The next day he showed up, so Tia Ibaka said, I was waiting for you. I'm so proud of you. Thank y'all so much. Embrace it. Appreciate all the good work. Wait, you already read that. Okay, let's get back into this, right? Thank you so much for the fan funding and super chat for helping me eat, pay for my security, and doing all these wonderful things. Hey, babe, how are you?
I love you.
Oh, thank you. What's your name, Mama?
I'm Naughty Love Movement. I watch you all the time.
Oh, nice. Shout out to Naughty Love Movement.
Hi, y'all. She's gorgeous.
Oh, stop.
She's gorgeous, and she has been grinding and doing the work. And yes, she was the one that found Jonathan. Oh, she did her big one. Yes, thumbs up, the big deal. I love Tifa. Tell she's been
thank you, brother.
From when they were the grand jury was.
Oh yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, Mama. Make sure y'all follow her, but let me get back in because I only got a few minutes. Okay, Maria M, thank you for the super chat, and Pizza and One, thank you so much for the super chat. Okay, so anyway, she said, she said the next day Paul showed up at her house, right? She said that they went to the same place, same thing. They locked the door. It was down there. She was in there all day. Again, they would not let her leave. She was there 5 days in a row, held hostage for 5 days. Zyra Mina said, I'm so glad you're back at it. I hope this helps. Girl, you know that helps. Thank you for buying me dinner. I appreciate y'all. Again, all those people, I don't see the RICO. I don't see the criminal. Do you see the RICO now? Do you see the criminal now? Do you see? Do you see the source material?
They saw it the first
Do
time.
you see the Diddy is done for? I hope every Diddy supporter feels F stupid. The prosecutions did their big thing. Baby, what you gonna do? What are they gonna do? Get everybody struck? It's impossible, right? Anyway, listen, they asked, so why did you keep going back? She said, I wanted to prove my innocence. Plus, they were threatening me to go into the East River. I really honestly didn't think I had a choice. She said, I didn't want to. It was the only way to prove my innocence. They said, did you tell anybody? She said, I kept quiet to all my friends. I was just in tears. She was just trying to survive, right? She said she didn't report it to law enforcement. She said, why? She said, because, she said, I worked under the NDA. Then they said, Your Honor, objection. Virginia Martinez, thank you so much for the super chat. Tina 8 said, appreciate Kate. Thank you, appreciate all you do. And I heard Caroline, thank you so much for the super chat. All right? Y'all, ignore the Diddy trolls. They are the last gasps of a dying kingdom. Diddy is their Mormon empire. Nero, Rome is burning. Nero is dancing outside. Ignore them, y'all. Get into this tea because it's more, right? She said she said the whole time they were gone, Diddy didn't reach out. Normally she would shadow him every day from early in the morning, like 9 in the morning until 4 a.m., right? They said that she never talked to Diddy. Diddy never reached out. But when she returned to work, they literally dropped her off the last day and said, yo, you'll see him in the office. Pratt made J. Verdine said, following every day from the Netherlands. What's up, Pratt? Pratt?
He probably had that jewelry the whole time.
She said Diddy never discussed the lie detector test or the missing jewelry, and she felt as if she felt they would think she stole it if she didn't go along. Diddy didn't ask where she been. Again, this goes into the point that they were doing this at Diddy's directive. Eileen Bell, thank you so much. And also Trasala, thank you so much. She said that she worked. She felt like she would lose her job and her life if she failed. She got no breaks. Oh, she also said while she was working for Diddy, she got no breaks. She got 4 hours, no breaks at all. She worked for got 4 hours sleep every night. She got 2 hours sleep if she was good. She worked 24/7. She met Bash HR to complain, right? She calculated about how much she was working. She said, I complained. Bash sat down and calculated overtime. They found out that for 3 months, Diddy owed her $80K in overtime. She only got paid $65K a year. Owed $80K in overtime. When they showed the paper of how much he owed Capricorn Clark, you know what Diddy did? Diddy took that document that the head of HR gave him and ripped it up and said, I don't give a F about this. And they said the age of Aquarius, time for truth. Amen, baby. This is something I've never seen of all. Okay, so then she said that Diddy stayed in hotels with Kim Porter. That's another thing. It sounds like Kim Porter was having freak offs. They said that Diddy stayed in hotels with Kim Porter once a week. Her job was to pack, bring, and unpack. He would check in under Frank Black or Frank White. All his girlfriends from Cassie, Kim Porter, and a few girls would all check in under Jackie Star, right? They would either stay at the Intercontinental in Buckhead or in LA at the Beverly Hills Hotel. She said what was in the bag that she had to check in? A camera box. 100% of the time was always there, a camera crib. They took a silver record holder and repurposed it. It had 3 point-and-shoot cameras, plus another mini small candle, 50 candles, baby oil, lube, and rugs in his tote bag. He said that he was on ecstasy, right? And 100% of the time they had the rugs, right? Then they
What's the rugs for?
Then they stayed. Kim Porter would stay in the hotel with Diddy with those candles and a 3-point camcorder for 3 to 4 days. Y'all, was Kim Porter having freak-offs with Diddy? Or matter of fact, was Diddy making the mother of his children do freak-offs? Then they said that her job, they said, what did you do that was
She said that in her book.
She had to stay in the hotel too. Watch TV, sleep. Sometimes I ate room service. Diddy had me in the room close in case he needed anything, but he never really called me.
She's sick.
Diddy had me in the room close in case he needed anything, but he never really called me. Her job was in to pack up, sweep the room. There was baby oil all over the place, everywhere, and baby oil handprints on the walls, right? He said in 2007 she had gotten promoted. She no longer packed the bag. Kim and Cassie were in the hotel room. It was a global brand upgrade, 3 or 4 days. Beverly Hills, she had gotten upgraded to global brand ambassador. She said by this time he was having freak-offs with Kim and Cassie for 3 to 4 days in the Beverly Hills Hotel, the London Hotel, the London Taj. She said that she saw Diddy and Cassie getting IV drips. He told him that he got IV drips because of the serotonin levels had gone down so low that it was supporting them from going into depression or something like that. Listen, I'll come back to this in the live later on. We got to get into the other stuff, all right? Thank y'all so much for the super chats and the fan funding. I appreciate everybody. And yes, I will be reading the super chats as they come. They said that Diddy then had a whole thing, 9933 Beverly Grove. She talked to Cassie. Now, here's the funny thing. This is the first thing that actually happened, right? She said that Lauren London, and this is the whole thing. I thought Lauren London was like Cassie's good friend. But what it sounds like, Lauren London at that time was not that cool with Cassie. She said that it was Chef Jordan, Lauren London, and Capricorn Clark were in the kitchen, right? And Diddy said, I'm going to show you bees why y'all don't have a man like me. Cassie was in another room. He called Cassie in. He said, come here. Sit down right there. Now stand up. Come toward me. Go over there. Pick up the remote. Bring it down to me. Sit down. Turn around. Move back. Move forward. And ordered her around like a robot. And then told her, now get out of here. And Cassie quietly left the room, right? He looked at them and said, did you see that? They looked at him and was like, huh? He said, you bees won't do that. And that's why y'all don't have a man like me, right? They said, what did you say? Capricorn Clark said she looked at Diddy and said, you MF him, right? And that was it, right? Now, I did make a note. How close was Cassie with Lauren London? If at that time Cassie was in another room and Lauren London, Capricorn Clark, and Chef Jordan were all Cking with Diddy, Cassie wasn't even allowed to sit with the people. They treated her, right? They treated her like trash, right? Listen. They said that she saw with Cassie that her drug use had increased. There was Molly and pills. They said that where did he get the pills from? They said that Diddy's girlfriend in New York City got rugs, and when they were in LA, they got rugs from one stop. They said they got Molly, that they would give to Capricorn or Diddy directly. I have a question for everybody. Are X and Molly the same thing? Because I'm very, very much confused. I thought they were the same thing. He literally did on some bark like a dog, right? They said that he asked Capricorn Clark for rugs one time. He had the rugs delivered to her house, ordered him directly. Diddy gave drugs for girlfriend and his friends in the summer of... Hey, what's up, Gene? Hey, we got Gene Dill. Come here, Gene. Gene Dill. Gene.
Oh, he's back there, y'all. He's still there.
Can we get an exclusive?
Oh, wow.
Diddy is... Don't embarrass me on my live. These people are watching me. Say hi to Tisha. Gene, can you say hi to everybody? We still got that exclusive. I know he's gonna run my pockets, but he's in high demand. What's up, Gene?
Hey,
What y'all think? What do you think about Capricorn Clark's testimony?
Oh my God. Well, I think it was emotional.
Okay. Okay.
I think that she knows what she's talking about. And I hate the fact that Uncle Paulie did that shit to her. You know what I'm saying?
What you mean?
Uncle Paulie, that's what Diddy's name is now?
Wait, hold on.
Oh!
Okay, guys.
Uncle Paulie did. So he was the one who beat her in gang aped her.
Did you find her testimony to this? Did you find Capricorn Clark to be? Did you find her to be very, very credible? What did you think?
Last night.
What did you think?
You was at a puppy party. I thought she was good.
You thought she was good? Does it sound like what you know, Diddy?
Two minors down.
Yeah, baby. All right, Gene. Listen, we'll catch you later, all right? All right, guys. All right, please. Listen.
Hey, you win against us. That's right.
All right, listen. Gene, thank you. Okay, so listen, let me get back on the
wow.
streets. Let me get back to the streets. Okay.
Holly, he dropped the jewel.
Gino was at a party with P. Diddy, and you helped him out with two minor kids.
Gene.
You with them on my YouTube. She knows what she's talking about. And I hate the fact that Uncle Paulie did that shit to her. You know what I'm saying?
What you mean?
Uncle Paulie, that's what Diddy's name is now?
Wait, hold on.
Randy hit me last night.
Hold on, guys.
2004. Gino was at a party with P. Diddy, and you helped him out with two minor kids. You with them on my YouTube last night.
Hey, what do you think about Capricorn Clark? Did you find her testimony to this? Did you find Capricorn Clark to be? Did you find her to be very, very credible? What did you think?
Last night.
What did you think?
You was at a puppy party. I thought she was good.
You thought she was good? Does it sound like what you know, Diddy?
Two minors down.
Yeah, baby. Gene, all right, Gene. Listen, we'll catch you later, all right? All right, guys. All right, listen.
Hey, you win against us. That's right.
All right, listen. Gene, thank you. Okay, so listen, let me get back on the streets.
Oh, Lord.
Let me get back to the streets. Okay. See, look. We got the media to crowd around Gene. Okay. Okay. Hey, what's up?
Can you tell us when your handle again?
Tisatels, TISATELLS on YouTube. Yeah. Thank you, Mama. So listen. So anyway, so you know the Gene deal. Well, I don't think you're allowed to record me sitting. Yeah, but you have to ask them because I don't know. I might. get in trouble for doing this, but you know, I'm a risk taker. Okay, so listen. So we got Gene Dale. We are going to get him here for an exclusive, but you heard it here first. He said that he thought that Capricorn Clark was very, very thin.
He said something else too.
I had to jump in his face to be like, over here, and he still was looking like he wanted to take somebody's head off. But as long as it's not mine, I don't care. Okay? So anyway, so listen, so then he was like, listen, I'm going to reach out to you, okay? Yeah. And he had Gene's back. He jumped into action. Okay, so listen. He said that, so he said in the summer of 2006, he asked her to go get some Colombian Colombian dancing.
Oh, so unless Uncle Polly was the one who did the...
And he said, not me, ninja. I said, okay, right? Mark Agnifilian was like, no, can I have a sidebar? It didn't matter, right? Capricorn Clark refused until he said it's not for me, right? Then she said that she had to get him for his friend. She got coke and she got pills for him. They were both in Capricorn Clark's name. Why? Because Diddy.
If you want to ask the question, you need to put it on the super chat. Put it on the super chat.
And what you gonna do if it's a third? I was working. I got him first. What you gonna do if it's a third time? But I got him first, and then you jumped into my interview. So you should apologize to me. But I didn't say anything to you. You literally called me a hater. I didn't. Baby, don't try to embarrass me. No, literally, don't play with me. No, don't play with me. It's all cool. Anyway, let me get back to my stuff. Hold on, y'all. Listen, anyway. So anyway, we were like, can you please? So anyway, he was like,
down there where you support the platform and you put it on.
So he was like,
you don't see that little dollar sign, that box down there with the dollar sign? Hit it, and it's a super chat,
anyway,
super sticker.
We are going to get an interview with Gene Dill. It'll be good. It'll be whatever, right? Anyway, they said...
You see that little box down there?
So then they said that Diddy can't get any more pills. Why? Because Diddy...
Next to the smiling little face is the box with a dollar sign, and then it's a grid with lines. Hit that box, and it'll say super chat, super sticker. Put your question on there.
Back then, 100K euros was like 150 US dollars. Came back with 100K euros.
You see it?
Plug bookings. They said that Diddy kept it in his house, right? Violence. She said she always saw Diddy fighting men. It was Paul and someone else, always Diddy. She said that she would always throw phones, and it would hit people, right? In the summer of 2006, she was let's skip over that and get to, in the summer of 2006, we'll get to that in a different thing. I'll do that in a different live because whatever. But anyway, the chef, Jordan, was hating and like whatever, right? Anyway, they said that, listen, they said, let's see, hold on. Let's see, all approved, this and that. Hold on, I'm trying to get to the good part. Okay, so let's get to the Cuddy stuff. Because this is the thing, and then I have to run back in to get it, all right? All right, right. Listen, y'all, don't worry. I'm standing my ground, and I'm getting an exclusive. I don't know what's going on.
If you've got pink salt, apple cider vinegar, and baking soda in your kitchen, and you're not using this recipe yet.
Anyway, so they said that Cassie was seeing Kid Cudi, right? She bought Kid Cudi. So one day she bought Kid Cudi to Capricorn's apartment to hang out, right? They said that Cassie Victoria even cooked. Then they said Cassie Victoria sent a text asking, Cassie sent a text to Capricorn Clark asking like, yo, can Kid Cudi come with me for a hike to Runyon Canyon? Capricorn Clark said, yo, this is a bad idea. There are too many people in Runyon Canyon. You have to go to Fryan Canyon. Anybody from LA actually knows what's going on. 777 said, you're doing great, babe. Keep up the good work. Thank y'all so much. So anyway, right? They said they was going to, she said, she told Cassie, you need to stop because the way you moving, you're going to get us all killed. They said Diddy was not in the U.S. at that time. Then at the Cipriani Hotel, Diddy went to go see Cassie. Now get this. Around 5:30 or 6 a.m. the next morning, she heard banging on her metal door, right? Diddy did not have keys to her apartment, even though Diddy was paying for the apartment. She saw Diddy through the peephole, right? He was pacing around. He looked furious. Through his body language, he could see that he had something in hand, right? Had something in hand, but she didn't see what it was. She then opened the door for him. He was upset. She said, my job was to keep him calm, cool, and to protect his image. It wasn't a good look. He was wearing a white shirt, a button-down sweater, gray slacks, white shoes, right? And then his pants were split up to the crotch so you could see his underwear. I said, was that on purpose? But you know what? Let's move on because there were bigger things at play, like murder, right? He had a gun, a bang-bang in the hand. He entered holding the bang bag. He said, why didn't you tell me? She said, I don't know what you're talking about. She said, oh, you don't know about Scott? She was like, who the F is Scott? He said, you don't know Kid Cudi? And she said, oh, are you talking about Cassie's friend, right? He said, get dressed. We're going to go kill that ninja. She said, he had the bang in hand. She said, I don't want to go. He said, I don't give a F what you want to do. Go get dressed. She said he was livid. He was furious. Oh, wow. And she could tell that he was mad at me, right? She said, I've never seen anything like it. Never seen him with a weapon. Never seen him this angry. Never saw him at the house. And the way he was acting, she knew that anything could happen.
If you have questions, send it on the super chat, Aries.
Thank you for all your hard work.
Y'all crazy. You think you slick. Listen.
Then she walked in front.
Listen. Please don't play with my intelligence. Please. I have already said her name. But if you have any questions, let's be clear. Okay? You have any questions, you put it on the super chat. And then I'll answer it. Support this platform before you expect for me to do anything otherwise than support my platform. So I don't care what name you come up under different, okay? All questions need to be put on a super chat, super sticker, effective immediately, okay? Okay, we clear? Are we clear? Or stay wherever you've been. Y'all killing me now. What's a super chat? And then somebody else come in up under a different name. Hey, you think I'm crazy? You think I'm new to this? How about I just remove you? What's going on? What you over here for if you don't know what's going on? Yeah. Hi, Karen. How are you?
Right? She walked in front of him while she walked to the car, right? Slay Queen said, love you, T. Said, haters gonna hate. You're doing a great job. Love from the UK. Thank you, guys. All right, and you know what, you guys? Moving forward, I will stay focused, okay? I will stay focused, right? Anyway, she walked in front, right? She walked in front of Diddy. Diddy followed behind her with the thing. Had him get in the car. He sat in the back seat where she was. Then he had a bang-bang on his lap. Ruben, what's his name's D-Box's little brother was the one driving, right? It was an Escalade executive class, right? She said Diddy sat next to her. Usually he's in the passenger seat. The gun is in lap. She couldn't leave the Escalade because it was all happening so quickly. There's no way she could jump out. Manine said visiting Turkey at the mall. Oh, thank you. I would love to send you over. Turkish delight you said you like. Keep doing what you're doing, Tisa. Get that Gene interview, but stay safe. Don't worry, y'all. I will. Don't worry. Anyway, they said, usually passenger, blah, 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 blah. Also, Matrix Scott, thank you so much for the super chat. Okay, so listen, what else happened? She said it happened quickly. She went to Kid Cudi's house, right? It was a 20-minute drive and no traffic. Diddy was sitting in the back with her. They said that, she said they took her to the house. They entered the house. She said she could have left at that time, but she didn't because he had guns. She said that she was able to see them enter the actual MF house. She said that the gate was open in the courtyard. She saw straight through it, right? Listen, they said, Cassie, what the F? Where are you at? Looking for Kid Cudi. Right? Listen, you guys, listen. Capricorn Clark is back on the stand. I gotta go see the end of her testimony. I swear to God, I will be back out here in 1 hour. I gotta go. But when I say, drama, we'll do part 2 for dramatic.
Yeah, y'all don't. That stunt just irritated me. Yeah. The stunt really irritated me. Don't play me. Please don't do that. Don't do that to yourself, cause I will get Diddy with you. Okay. Yeah, please don't pull that stunt with me. Yeah. Don't do that. You respect my platform. Or I will remove you. Okay? And I don't care what name you come up under. And if you keep on after I remove you, then I'm going to report you for harassment. And I feel like you're trying to bully me. Okay? Better go play with yourself. A whole stunt. You done disturbed my peace. I ain't gonna even lie.
How you feel about the people that feel like Cassie, she was complicit with Diddy?
Well, I don't have nothing bad to say about people in general, but it was an old saying that my man Ward, salute to Anthony Ward out there in St. Louis, he said, you can't teach stupid. People are just stupid, bro. You can't teach stupid.
Can you teach scared?
Now, what we found out if they went to the trial, that Cassie was 16 years old, modeling. She was 16 years old modeling, and Diddy knew about her then. At 16 years old, because they had mutual friends. And Bad Boy was doing that same Sean John and doing perfumes, colognes, whatever like that. He had his eye on this girl at 16 years old.
I believe that.
But you know he was with probably Jennifer at the time. He was the Cassie getting older. He may have not started messing with her until 19. But he was dealing with her and seeing her and grooming her. Having people be in touch with her at 16. At 16. So now, he gets her at 19 years old. He shows her the world. He shows her the world, bro.
Everybody that said something to her about the trial who knew Cassie from 16 to the point she messed with Diddy.
She was sweet and innocent.
She was not a type of girl that slept around.
Right.
If she was in a relationship with a guy, it was monogamous. It was just between them two. She didn't do hard drugs. She didn't do ecstasy. She didn't do pills. She didn't do none of that shit.
Oh, he definitely turned her out.
So now, he gets this little girl. He been watching her since she was 16. He gets her at 18, 19 years old. I can go in Gucci, buy whatever she want to. She can go in Fendi and buy whatever she want to. Louis Vuitton, Dolce Gabbana. She getting on G5 jets. You got one of the hot songs. You do a video. You go into all these places you ever dreamed of. Here go this man. He put his hands on you. He started putting you in sexual acts and doing things to you and drugging you out your mind. Did they hear Cassie mama testimony? When she testified, not testimony, when she testified that her daughter came to her and said, "Ma, he got these tapes on me doing things that I should have never done, that I knew better. But I was in love with him." Some women out there ain't never loved that hard. And some men ain't never had women that loved them that hard. Well, they would do things that they would have normally did, what they ain't do with another guy, but they do with you. You was they first in a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Break it down, Jane.
He drugged this girl out of her mind.
Wow.
Did tapes on her.
He drugged her out of her mind. Wow.
You was they first in a lot of stuff. He drugged this girl out of her mind. Did tapes on her. Threatened her. You see that? Look at the screen up there. See that video? That's you. She gotta look hard because she don't remember. She don't think that's her. She don't believe it's her. But that's her up on that screen. He threatened that he was gonna release that to the world. You better keep on. This was coming out in the trial, bruh. So for those people who think this little girl thought of all that shit on her own, let me see her track record. Let me see the record before she got to him. I said this last time. Let me see the record. Let me see everything, brother. Let me know. Let me see some of her other boyfriends that peed in her mouth. That gave her drugs. Let me see some of her other boyfriends. This is what's coming out in the trial, bruh. So those people, I'm gonna say it again. You can't fix stupid.
So why do you think she came out after all these years? You have some people that believe that she felt the type of way that she did all these freak-offs with Diddy and she don't got nothing to show for it. And you have some people, they believe that, you know, she's mad that Diddy did more for Young Miami than her.
Well, you gotta understand this, brother.
She's trying to convince me I have naturally wavy hair. You literally have wavy hair blindness.
Spoiler alert, she was right.
You gotta understand this, brother. Cassie seen that she wasn't getting her music done. She signed a 10-album deal. She wasn't getting her music done. He gave her, he allegedly, him and others prostitutes or male escorts gave her all kinds of diseases. All kinds of diseases. So she's sitting back and she didn't get none of the stuff that he promised her.
That he promised. He lied.
So she asked him for $10 million, and I'm going to go about my business. Cassie asked him for $10 million. Benjamin Bradford, one of the great lawyers in New York City that helped him on the Shine case, told Puff, yo, get that girl $10 million and she's going to go away. The federal government had been looking at Puff since 2011. I'm going to say this again. The federal government had been looking at Puff since 2011 because they had information or somebody made a complaint to them that he was sleeping with underage boys. They went and offered, or somebody made a complaint to them that he was sleeping with underage boys.
What pressure? Where Africa motherland? Are you in them clouds? Pressure, you in them clouds? What? What? What you say? What?
Since 2011, because they had information or somebody made a complaint to them that he was sleeping with underage boys.
Pressure? Big pressure.
They went and offered
African motherland.
a proffer agreement to one of the gangsters who's in jail. I'm not going to say his name, but 50 be getting at him all the. They went and offered a proffer agreement to one of the gangsters who's in jail.
I'm
not going to say it. They went and offered. Been looking at Puff since 2011. I'm going to say this again. The federal government had been looking at Puff since 2011 because they had information or somebody made a complaint to them that he was sleeping with underage boys. They went and offered a proffer agreement to one of the gangsters who's in jail. I'm not going to say his name, but 50 be getting at him all the time. Point blank. Now, they've been watching Puff for the longest. Cassie dropped the lawsuit. Puff pays her $30 million the next day. They read the lawsuit. It's in record. Oh, this is against the law. That's against the law. We could get him for this. We could get him for that. So now they give Cassie a deal.
Oh my
You took
Lord.
part of this, Cassie.
Facts.
Do you think she wanted to come to court?
She's a co-conspirator. I told y'all that.
$30 million and
A corroborated witness now.
You took part of this, Cassie. Do you think? Oh, this is against the law. That's against the law. We could get him for this. We could get him for that. So now they give Cassie a deal. You took part of this, Cassie. Do you think she wanted to come to court on him? She got her $30 million and she.
I tried to tell y'all that. She already got paid.
Not paid for this.
Two, 3 years ago.
Against him. The federal government did.
And see, this is what kills me. And then you got these people who come over here who don't know me, just visiting, and try to ask me about somebody who 9 times out of 10 repeating some shit I done already said to my tea sippers. Okay. Okay. Almost made me shut it all the way down today. I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I didn't. I said that already. She working for them because she is a co-conspirator. All of them are. That's how he played it. That's why he made them do the dirty deeds. That's why it's a female DNA on that cocktail. They run with the guns. They break in the house or walk into the house that was unlocked. But everybody do it. Everybody do the work for him. And see, that's why he thought he was smart by not doing his own dirty work. But that what he thought was smart is why he is in racketeering, under those racketeering enterprise, whatever, RICO, organized crime. He's the crime boss. Yeah. Yeah. Let's go. It's a wrap. Now on top of the arson, you know, the male hookers. What else do we have? We had 3, 4 yesterday. Now you got kidnapping. Okay. And they already, where are these boys? They in the lawsuit. They in the paperwork. Yeah. I told you that. I knew that he had already been investigated. I knew it wasn't Cassie who brought these charges up on him, and I knew she didn't want to be there. She had already gotten paid 2-3 years beforehand, and nobody knew. Capricorn Clark already paid off. Nobody knew. So what would be the only reason they on that stand now? They done already got paid, because they would be co-conspirators. Yeah, I told y'all this. But baby, did Gene drop some names? He done said it was Polly who did that to you. Lord. Just in case she didn't know his name. She didn't know his name. I hope they asked her who gangbanged her. That's why Diddy paid her off. Remember? Okay, let's go. Come on, sir. Oh, this good.
She got her $30 million and she can go with her family now. She's not getting paid for this. She didn't bring charges up against him. The federal government did. And gave her immunity any charges.
Any charges.
Cassie got immunity too, bro.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
Because if it's sex trafficking and she's taking part of it and she's paying them and by Puff telling her to pay them, Puff telling them to get them.
Absolutely.
She's doing it too. Absolutely. So we have to give her immunity.
Absolutely.
Do you think she wanted to come to court on him?
No. Let's go back, babe, because they've been
watching Puff for the longest. Cassie dropped the lawsuit. Puff pays her 30.
Let me go back.
Information or somebody.
I know y'all been knowing this.
Cassie asked him for $10 million. Benjamin Bradford, one of the great lawyers in New York City that helped him on the Shine case, told Puff, yo, get that girl $10 million and she's gonna go away. The federal government had been looking at Puff since 2011.
This is why I say it's not healthy to call them out. This is why I said it's not healthy to let a predator go. This is why it's not healthy when people come and tell you that they've been violated, or for people to say, oh, well, what you do? Are you just being fast? Are you just this, that, and the other? You know, because you are validating a predator and not the victim. And the predator continues to mosey right on along and violate other people because people make excuses for the predator pressure. 2 boys. And now he being sued with him and the umbrella man, Farnsworth. Did you see that paperwork? Pressure. This is why it is not healthy. In all fairness, in all seriousness, it is not healthy to not call a predator out. I see you. I see you. I believe that you did everything that they said you did. And if you bring your motherfucking ass around here again, I'm going to remove you. See, that's what should be done. But now they start saying, well, what you have on and what you say and what you do. You just being a fast tail girl. Don't you tell nobody this. And that same predator come around, peeping around the corner in a month or two to try to see if the coast is clear. And when they see don't nobody say nothing to them, guess what? They do it again. That's why I hate the rug. You know how many people up under that rug? And to hear Q talk about how they gave him that tranquilizer, that just that just broke my heart. He waking up screaming and they filming him and laughing. They done entered into this man. And they got it on film. No, it ain't just females.
Case told Puff, yo, get that girl 10 million and she's gonna go away. The federal government had been looking at Puff since 2011. Say this again. The federal government had been looking at Puff since 2011 because they had information or somebody made a complaint to them that he was sleeping with underage boys. They went and offered a proffer agreement to one of the gangsters who's in jail. I'm not going to say his name, but 50 be getting at him all the time. Point blank. Now, they've been watching Puff for the longest. Cassie dropped the lawsuit. Puff pays her $30 million the next day. They read the lawsuit. It's in record. Oh, this is against the law. That's against the law. We could get him for this. We could get him for that. So now they give Cassie a deal. You took part of this, Cassie. Do you think she wanted to come to court on him? She got her $30 million and she can go with her family now. She's not getting paid for this. She didn't bring charges up against him. The federal government did. And gave her immunity in any charges. Cassie got immunity too, bro. Because if it's sex trafficking and she's taking part of it and she's paying them and by Puff telling her to pay them, Puff telling them to get them, she's doing it too. So we have to give her immunity. She's not there at her own free will. She's not a hostile witness.
Yeah, I get it. I see where you're coming from. But how you feel about the people that feel like Cassie Husband, he's the one that put her up to it because they needed the money and, you know.
Well, when I was with Puff, he used to pay this guy $2,500 every time he worked out with him. Like he was his trainer. So I'm just saying, I know Alex made some money in being a trainer with Puff. How he spent his money, I don't know. You got to realize Cassie had a salary of $250,000 a year also. So where are they broke at? Ain't that enough to do something? It ain't enough to do nothing, but it's enough to do something. Cassie was with a well-to-do family where his mother took out $20,000 to pay Diddy. This came up in the trial. So my thing about it is this. They had money and enough money to do something, not to do nothing. Everybody always want to call people broke. They don't know people's pockets.
Facts.
They want to assume and say dumb
Facts.
But them people wasn't on no corner begging and asking nobody for nothing. My thing, you can't fix stupid.
You can't fix. You right, sir. You cannot fix stupid.
Deserve the boldest flavors.
How dare
like
me?
Our new concrete mixers
Try to
and
convince
lemonade
people to stop talking and thinking stupid. How dare me? What's up? What's up next? How dare me to think that I could try to get people to stop thinking stupid? Shame on me. Shame on me. Let me see. Oh, my battery about to go out. Shame on me. You are right, sir. I'm going to have to remember that. Girl, you know you can't fix stupid. Yeah. Oh, she back?
You guys to go through all these details. Michelle, and then all of a sudden, the stand, but before just got out of court, right? I just got out of court. There was so much that went on. It was such a heavy day. Capricorn Clark broke down on the stand, but before she did, she broke down Diddy's RICO organization. You guys, also, we got to talk. Cassie just went into labor. I hope the baby's not premature, and it's not because of all the stress.
No,
this is what Diddy's team was hoping to do, to actually go into the, hopefully that they could keep calling her back. She go into labor, and then all of a sudden, they can literally strike some of her testimony because they can't follow-up questions. Blessings and prayers that Cassie's baby is healthy. If you guys haven't heard, Cassie has gone into labor. It is unknown on whether it is a premature labor.
No, it's not premature. It was supposed to be.
We got to talk about
the first end of May, 1st
when
of June.
I tell you, so much stuff happened. Okay, so much stuff happened. The defense had a cross-examination. They were trying to poke holes in Capricorn Clark's testimony. They said, did you say Laura London or Laura Ann Gibson? She was like, I said Lauren. I think they heard Lori Ann. They said, well, you said this, you said that. What about the thing? They were pressuring her, pushing her. Tell us the name of the security person. You mean the security person for 20 years ago? I don't know the security guy. I think his name is He's Fired. Anyway, you guys, let's get into this because this was so much. And when I tell you it was so heavy, we have to walk through this, okay? Now, where were we? Okay, so let's get into it from the start because I want you guys to go through all these details. Michelle Brannigan, thank you so much for the super chat. I want you guys to go through all these details with me because when I say I feel gross, and I feel gross for Mark Agnifili, and I feel gross for Diddy's team. Why? Because this was this was high-level gaslighting. This was high-level misogyny. This was high-level victim blaming, and it was high-level trying to ignore all the bad stuff Diddy did. The fact that they basically told you that Diddy was the devil incarnate, violent, all this stuff, threatened Capricorn Clark, and all you arguing about is whether she remembers the name of a guard. You're arguing about whether she said she called Lauren London three-way or whether or not, while you're being held at gunpoint, while you're scared somebody's about to be... Yeah, okay. Diddy is, Anyway, so where do we last step off? Let's take it from the top. There's so much that happened, but let me take it to the top, okay? Or should we just jump right back in,
Jump back in.
Oh, Wanda said, thank you for always bringing us these late updates. Okay, so listen. Basically, she said that Diddy used to have free calls with Kim Porter. They would hotel rooms 3 or 4 days at a time. He would get a 3-point camera system and another small camera. There would always have to be 50 candles, baby oil, lube. There always had to be E. They took that same, like what is it, the black Louis V bag. She would have to pack up, sweep the room. This was in early days. Around 2007, he was doing the same thing with Kim and Cassie. Here's what I want to know. How did Diddy find time to work? How did Diddy find time to work? Because how are you having 3 or 4 day freak-offs? Now, Jonathan Adi, right? Jonathan Adi is whatever. You guys also, just to let you know, I do want to start off with the top of the hour with this. Cassie was rushed to the hospital. Rochelle said, aloha, thank you for covering this. Cassie was rushed to the hospital while we were in court. Cassie was rushed to the hospital. We are waiting to hear what the updates were. We hope that she was not in premature labor, but it was what it was. Stephanie 7, thank you so much for the super chat. Honeybee Therapy, thank you for the super chat. Tess Schumann, thank you for the super chat. Again, this mess with Capricorn Clark was so sad, okay? Okay, so where do we start? I told you guys about the fact that Diddy would make fun to everybody. Now, Diddy's ex-assistant, I'm putting together this for you, testified a couple of days ago that Diddy was bragging like, yeah, I got this young John. She be doing anything I want, right? He wasn't just bragging to that. He literally delighted in the control he had.
They've been co-conspirators.
Chef Jordan and
I told you that.
Kitchen. Cassie wasn't allowed to be with the other women. Diddy called her and was like, yo, Cassie, come in. She came in like a robot, didn't say anything. He's like, I'm going to show y'all bees why y'all don't have a man like me, right?
Okay,
he said, come here. She came over. Come here. Sit down. Turn around.
They told us earlier how they look at the jurors look at that.
Now do this. He basically told her to get on one leg and bark like a dog. This is why other women are in the room. Cassie didn't say anything. She silently did every command he barked at her, and he was delighting, like, jump on one foot, do this, do that. She did all of that while other women were in the room.
I don't want to pull it back. I got it like that for a reason, because people want to ask me questions and don't want to support the platform.
Right, Table Talk with Mimi exclusive said, Tisa, you're the best. I looked at, thank you so much, you guys. Make sure you guys follow
I was irritated.
Table Talk by Mimi. So anyway, let me get back into this, because you
all
guys,
you need to know is what she's saying. Right?
Sobering, right? She did notice that around that time.
Yeah, all you need to know is what she's saying. You don't have to see her to hear her, do you?
Like, so you mean Cassie took Diddy more into drugland? No, man. Cassie was the one taking 2, 3, 4, however many.
Do you have to see her to hear her?
Make her take. Cassie was the one.
Or are you trying to record? What you doing?
They had to do everything.
Aaron, yes.
What
do you have to see her to hear her?
What did he need? Because from what I look at it, they're trying to look like Cassie corrupted Diddy. I'm just confused.
Can you not hear this?
Was it very upsetting for you to make Cassie be the town bicycle? Was it very upsetting to you and your homeboys that you were taping it and allegedly passing those tapes around? Because at the end of the day,
Can you still hear her? No, I was watching it. Just making me dizzy. Oh, okay. So you want, it's making you dizzy. So how about I just lay it down like this? Is that better?
See why Cassie got more into rugs. But with Diddy, it seemed like he was having the best time of his life.
How about
so again,
the red?
I'm wondering, how is this narrative going to spread, Mark Agnafilio? Because Diddy looked like he was having the time of his life. You were the devil. You were the person doing this. So explain to me why you needed more rugs. They still haven't broke that down at all. Do you know what I'm saying? T. Boomer said, why was Diddy at the orphanage place? T. Boomer, we're going to get into that. Sonia B said, love you, Tisa, from the UK. The Sugar Case said, great reporting. Much love from the Sugar Case. Y'all make sure you follow the Sugar Case. And Katie J. Chris said, hardest working woman, love you. Thank you. And Virginia Sells, thank you so much for the super chat. Now, let me tell y'all something. Because we can skip to the orphanage part, and then we'll come back, okay? For those of y'all that don't follow my breadcrumbs, I'm leaving breadcrumbs, okay? Tara Grant said 4K view and get the lights up. It's free. Who's going to testify next? Tomorrow, there is going to be a fire investigator specialist and a bunch of people from the government and a few more other people that's going to testify to the technical stuff. On top of that, the government wants to submit a report that links up with the timeline. All the text they got linked up with the timeline. Now, let me just say this, right? In the cross-examination, now we just heard that Diddy was running through people's with guns. We just saw him beat Cassie to a pulp again, kick her down the driveway into the street, stomping her out the whole time. Capricorn Clark being blacklisted, scared for her life. Diddy actually settled with Capricorn Clark, but he didn't want anybody to know.
He didn't want nobody to know.
Something tells me it was a lot. Capricorn Clark effectively showed Andre Chris
what's the name of it? Interscope had to pay it.
Because don't forget, 50 Cent and Diddy have beef. So you could go to the other camp. But Chris Light, they died the day before she was about to start. And after that, he was pretty much blacklisted for until Kingdom Come. In between that, instead of addressing any of that mess, what did he do? He said, did you not know that Diddy was on a trip to Russia? And I said, Russia? Are you on the Trump plan? I said, wait, did you not know he was on the trip to Russia to go to an orphanage in Kazakhstan? I said, it sounds like money laundering to me. When's the first or last time y'all remember Diddy going to an orphanage in Kazakhstan? Baby,
no, it sounds like going to get kids.
Unmarked euros. That's all I wanted to say. I said, you're trying to make Diddy look lovable, but instead you sound like a villain. Anyway, Trini Queen said, hey, Tisa girl, you're doing a fabulous job reporting. Thank you so much, Trini Queen. Jerome Street said, nice, thank you so much. Also, Thrift Goddess said, Diddy's going to jail, then headed to hell. Baby, he might go to hell first. He might go to hell first, as I like to call it. He's going to go back home. Anyway, you guys, this is breaking news if you haven't heard it. We're going to have to take a sidebar. Cassie is in the hospital in the labor unit. They said Cassie is trading the courtroom for the hospital, and it sounds like she may be about to go into labor. Our sources tell us Cassie was rushed to a New York hospital Tuesday, and she's in the labor and delivery unit. Now, it is unknown whether the baby is premature. It is unknown what's happening. We do know that a lot of people said that Diddy's plan was to keep her in court week after week after week so she could go into labor. And if she could go into labor and there wasn't a chance that they could cross-examine her, that would either hold off the trial, have a mistrial, or they could get her testimony struck out. This is what Diddy's team wanted, and she is going into labor. They say Cassie recently testified in the Diddy criminal trial in Manhattan earlier this month, showing up to the court 4 days straight for intense testimony about their relationship. First of all, it wasn't earlier this month, it was a week ago. She had a big baby bump when she took the witness stand, and she was spotted rubbing her belly when she left the courtroom and walked past the jury box. Cassie was about 8 months pregnant when she testified. This is her third pregnancy. A lot of people don't realize pregnancy is 10 months. I know what they say it's 40 weeks. It's not 40 weeks. It's actually 10 months of gestation. If Cassie was only 8 months pregnant, that
40,
means the baby
40 weeks is
premature.
2
Now,
months.
hear me out where I say, when I say premature, everybody knows that the baby gets all its weight from the last month. The last month in the belly is where the baby gets all the weight. So yeah, the lungs and all that stuff can be fully developed, but the baby can only be 3.5 pounds. You really need that last week or 6 weeks for the baby to start putting on weight, which is why when they look at pregnant women, they say, oh my God, you're about to pop, all right? Listen, the story's developing. We do wish smooth, healthy delivery for Cassie, for her to endure too much, for her to have to relive this. And I now see, with Cassie being so close to labor, why she stood on that stand and didn't let Diddy break her down, didn't start crying, not because she didn't feel it, but because she was carrying a baby, and that's what she had to do. It was a lot, you know what I'm saying? And I'm so glad that Cassie actually, I hope she's healthy. Hey, what's up, Khalifa Washington? Thank you so much for the super chat. I hope Cassie's healthy. I hope the baby's healthy. I hope this didn't send her into early labor. I hope that Sean Diddy Combs and the humiliation he put her through, and everybody that was over the weekend, while she probably was going through labor pains, talking about, oh my God, Cassie was a hoe. Cassie cheated on Diddy. Cassie did this. Like, it's been proven in court that Diddy was cheating on Cassie the whole time. It's been proven in court that Diddy was beating on Cassie the whole time. It is proven in court that Diddy treated her worse than a $5 hooker. He treated her worse than anything the whole time. That all people could do was, the week before, literally follow this dumb narrative that Diddy and his people, I believe, put out there, thinking that they could S-shame her, and somehow that would literally invalidate everything that happened. Anyway, Cassie's in labor. Let's get back to this testimony. Mary loves it. Thank you for everything you do. I wait patiently for your updates daily. You're the best. Keep up the amazing work. Thank you so much. Also, Paige Collins said, sounds like child banqueting. And Table Talk with Mimi Exclusive said, by the way, the kids went missing after he left Russia. Baby. Letitia Contel Morrow said, finally caught you live.
Where is Abel?
Thank you so much, you guys. Okay, let's get into this. Rance, thank you so much for the super chat.
Where is
also,
Abel?
Confessions of a Rowdy Queen. Please go follow her. Said, finally out the hospital. Thanks for entertaining me while I was in bed. And thank you for making me a better blogger every day. You're my mentor in my head. listen, we are friends in real life. Y'all make sure y'all follow Confessions of a Reality TV Queen and actually give her something to come back to. Give her those likes and follows. Annabelle said, you look like a star. Gracias, T. Thank you so much. Okay,
Shout
so
out
let's
to
get into
you,
this.
T.
Everybody wish Cassie, I hope the baby's not premature, and I hope this isn't the end of Diddy's reign. C. Hayes said, hey, T, said, you're so, oh, thank you. Keep up the great reporting. Okay, right? So,
bye.
Sorry, they're graduating citizenship. Renita, thank you so much for the super chat. Okay, so let me get back into what actually happened. God, this was such a heavy day. It is a heavy day, okay? So anyway, she said that, so I told you that she was locked in a room in Broadway, a whole abandoned office building, literally being questioned and saying that she don't answer right. She is going to go into the East River, okay? Mark and them were doing that, blah, 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 blah. She said that she wanted to prove her innocence. Diddy never talked about the lie detector test. He just went whatever, blah, 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 blah. All right? So anyway, let's get into this. Okay, so Diddy had a girlfriend in New York City that got him rugs. She didn't get the girlfriend's name. It wasn't Young Miami because this was back in like 2007. He said that there was one stop.
It's not premature. No love.
I hope he's not still alive because one stop, if you not testifying, you are definitely going to jail with charges. They said one stop supplied him in LA. He gave him X and Molly to either Capricorn Clark or Diddy directly. Diddy also Capricorn to ask for the rugs.
Today is the 27th.
They were delivered either to Capricorn's house or to him directly. Diddy gave rugs to his girlfriends and to friends, right? In the summer of 2006, he asked her to get him some. They were in the south of France, and he asked her, "Yo, Cap, get me some Colombian dancing does." Cap's thing was like,
right? She said
and Diddy said, "Not me, ninja," right? And he said that he had like a bunch of friends.
So that's why like a lot of people was asking the attorney,
right?
Has she went into labor yet? That was the week or so ago. He also needed pills.
Now again, people might roll their eyes, but this goes into the RICO. You have your employees securing rugs so you can keep people inebriated. She also let something slip that Diddy was literally.
What is rugs?
The reasons why everything had to start going in her name is because in Miami, where Diddy had a Star Island 2 house, or even Star Island 1, Diddy was banned from getting any more prescription pills because he had maxed out his limit. So everything had to start going into Capricorn Clark's name. You see what I'm saying?
But a lot of people don't know that a pregnancy term is 40 weeks.
He said that Diddy never touched that stuff. Vivian, thank you so much for the money for the coffee. Diddy said he never touched that stuff. But one thing he did say is that he kept the party going. Again, this goes into coercion. Zenith Yasina Buzzle said, where's Ava B, the adopted daughter? They have not talked about this. C. Coelho Arson is the assistant Mia Christian KK Quorum. And from getting any more prescription pills because he had maxed out his limit. So everything had to start going into Capricorn Clark's name. You see what I'm saying? We are getting RICO, but baby, that's just the tip of the iceberg. She said that he said that Diddy never touched that stuff. Vivian, thank you so much for the money for the coffee. Diddy said he never touched that stuff. But one thing he did say is that he kept the party going. Again, this goes into coercion. Zenith Yasina Buzzle said, where's Ava B, the adopted daughter? They have not talked about this. C. Coelho Arson is the assistant Mia Christian KK Quorum. Really quick, I no longer think it's KK because my legacy media friends pointed out a big problem. Nida Ferguson, thank you so much for the super chat. Mia is anonymous. They have been using Capricorn Clark's name a lot. Mia is not KK. However, I firmly believe that KK is going to testify 100%, and I believe she's testifying for the prosecution, but time will tell. Dylan Decker, thank you so much for the super chat. SP, again, to answer your question, KK is testifying, but she is not Mia. Sonia Zolkar, thank you so much for the super chat. And also, I want to thank D-Shell said, is One Stop Brendan Paul? No, One Stop is not Brendan Paul. They actually showed a picture of One Stop. He is black. It is not Brendan Paul, and this is from like the whole 2006 to 2010 era. I don't think Brendan Paul was around for that long. Okay, let's get back into the One Stop. He going to jail. I said, I hope you testify, because with a name like One Stop, what is going on? He said Diddy never touched it. He said that after they came back from Europe, he had large amounts of cash. They were like, what's large? She said, large. What? She said it was 100K euros. Now, back then, 100K euros, because the euro was stronger than a dollar. 100K euros was like 150,000 cash. Brown, thank you so much for the super chat. They said that he took it home. He gave it to he got it from club bookings. Again, it's giving money laundering. And somebody made a good point, really quick, right? Because I want to talk about this. Somebody said that Diddy's case might be like Al Capone. It is no secret that the government wanted to investigate Diddy for a couple of years. They were going into money laundering. They were going internationally. They interviewed people in London. Diddy, by rushing to a speedy trial, shortened the amount of investigation the government could do. A lot of people are saying that they think it might be the case about the Al Capone paradox. Al Capone was a bad man. However, they got him on tax evasion. Not the murders, not this, not that.
Did not say that too. If they don't get him one way, they're going to get him on tax evasion.
No, the history says they think it's the same thing. He is dirty as all sin. There is
I said that too.
There's links to there's links to all this stuff, but the government didn't have time to prove it. So what did they do? They're coming at him with the sex trafficking, which he's guilty of, but it will get him off the street for life, even though they can't get him on the other stuff because they don't have time to investigate. Because they had to investigate, they had to grab Diddy first because he was like doing the RICO thing, and then Diddy said, no, I want a speedy trial. You see what I'm saying? Y'all see what I'm saying? Okay, right? So anyway, he brought home 100K euros, which is about $150 US back then, from club bookings, right? What club bookings was he doing? 03UN60 said, keep up the great work. Thank you so much. Okay. So they said, how do you know how much it was? Capricorn Clark was like, I counted it. And then I gave it to Diddy. And then it was given to security. And then it was kept in Diddy's bedroom safe. What did he need all that cash for? Anyway, again, here's another thing that they proved that everybody looked over. And listen, the horrible stuff is coming, but let me just get through the RICO stuff. Because you got to think this. You get 100,000 in cash, euros. So 150,000 US basically, right? Conversion. You have Capricorn Clark count it, you get on your private jet, and you fly back with the money. Did you report it to the government?
No.
Did you report it to the bank? Was there anything on your books about 100,000, or was this money laundering and embezzlement? And it won't.
Didn't I tell y'all that?
Definitely money laundering, right? Then they talk about the violence. She said she
the
always
money.
saw Puff fighting
Unaccounted money.
right? And it was always Uncle Paul and someone else helping him, right? He would throw phones at people. I think they said that they said in the summer of 2026, Capricorn Clark said Diddy laid hands on him. They were at 2-star island in Miami, right? And Diddy told her, I don't care what happens, do not leave this house. However, she said Pharrell's manager came by and she took Pharrell's manager to another island. She was there for about an hour. Diddy called her and said, what the F are you, right? And she was like, she was like, what? She ran back home, right? 2-star island. He said, your problem is you want a life, and you can't have that here, right?
Oh, wow, you can't have a life?
And you can't have that here. And then he told Capricorn Clark not to leave the house again. So Capricorn Clark was feeling some type of way. So she woke up the next morning because she was like, what the F? Like, why am I always like, can I breathe? Because she was working at this point. She was only getting 4 hours. She was only getting
and no overtime and nothing.
Asleep. 2 hours in bad nights, 4 hours in the best of nights. She said in the summer of 2026, she woke up after Diddy said, you can't have a life, bring your ass home, right? And she said that she woke up and she went to the kitchen. Chef Jordan was cooking, right? She asked, where is the turkey bacon? To Chef Jordan. Chef Jordan then said, there is no turkey bacon. There is no turkey bacon. But she said it with an attitude, right? She's like, there is no turkey bacon, right? And then she said to the chef, that's right, there's never turkey bacon. I hate it here. So it's 2 co-workers just complaining and they're supposed to be cool. Chef Jordan then went to the dock where Diddy was and told him that Capricorn Clark said, oh my God, I hate it here. Jerome Street said, exclusive nice work. Thank you so much, Jerome. She told the chef them right.
All them tell guys.
Said she hated it here. And I said, wow, Diddy had
hey,
everybody
Cricket.
snitch him, right?
Yeah.
And then Diddy, she said said that she was looking at her in the dark, seeing the girl whisper to Capricorn Clark, and he looked at her and he said, "Oh, you hated her?" And then he literally charged at her. And when he charged at her, he was pushing her. He said he kept pushing her like, "You hated her. She kept pushing her back 30, 40 yards, kept pushing her back. "You hated her. To get the F out, if you hated her." The whole time
Wow.
he was pushing her, right? "Get the F out my house," right? They said, "How hard was he hitting you?" She said about 75%.
Yeah.
Strength.
Yes.
Uncle Paul, the security, jumped in and told Diddy, "Yo, stop."
Absolutely, it will be enough for 12 to agree. That's why he was trying to get part of her testimony thrown out. That's why they came in there asking for motions to take out. Who else? They came in asking for stuff to be removed.
Now get this. She came back to Combs Globee brand women's, right?
Whether people want to believe it or not, they know it's not going in their favor.
Combs, right? She said that she was 28
Yes.
and didn't want to be trapped, okay? All right? Also, the creator, and don't forget, good point, Jamie Johnson, obviously that Diddy was flying those jets and moving coca and moving money. Again, the fact that they said Diddy was giving work to an orphanage, and can you understand? Diddy, stop.
We gonna see. Aaron, yes.
Thank you so much for the super chat. Elizabeth Nilsson, thank you so much for the
What
super
do
chat.
you think?
Adrian said, keep doing that thing. He said, thank y'all so much. I very much appreciate y'all. And Cheryl Walls, thank you so much for the super chat. Also, Brown Sugar said, Mia may be Daniel.
Aaron, yes, what do you think? Don't ask me. I done told you about sending. All questions need to go on a super sticker.
1997 issue. I was thinking that too, but Mia is also used to be an assistant for Diddy, okay? Also, Miss Sexy Lexington, thank you so much.
What's her name? Kamora Lee has his kids, got his girls, so they good.
She helped with the math.
I don't feel sorry for nobody. I don't feel sorry for nobody who parents are predators. I can give a rat's ass. What about the kids he molested? I care about them. So I don't give a shit about somebody who been living the lime life and their parents have been, assaulting people and SAing people, drugging them. I don't care. I don't care about none of that. Let them come stay with you. I don't care if they knew or not. I really don't care. You care? You want to adopt them? You want that, I'm sorry. Some of these witnesses are not the best. I don't care. But they all are saying the same thing and they don't even know it. And the people were there. Now when I think about Roger Bonds, he saw these security guards, when they talking about the gang banging and all of that. I mean, some of them guards were, they was SAing as well. So for them to now feel bad about it, I really understand how Q feels. Because he was one of the ones that was there filming and laughing at him when they gave him a horse tranquilizer in the Hamptons. And he woke up screaming and have had psychological, mental, PTSD, all of this stuff. And the security was laughing at him. So, But, I guess, at least they come to Jesus meeting and they at least are feeling bad now. But it sure took them a long time. It's messed up. But like Dio said, he wasn't hired to be Cassie's security. He was hired to protect Diddy. And he did his job. Everybody did their job. Whether that mean looking over some stuff, not telling, not reporting it. Everybody was concerned about doing their job. I've seen people quit for less, way less. And I kept thinking to myself, why you just didn't quit? Why you just didn't quit? No, because you value that. And the girl said you made $65,000 a year and you worked 20 hours a day. 20 hours on a good day. But if it's a bad day, you work 22 hours. And you thought that was $65K. You compromise everything, your whole life, your morals, your integrity, everything for $65K. And you work 20 hours on a good day. 22 on a bad. Do that math. So you was working for free. You was so in essence, you were being pimped too. Just to say you had an opportunity to work for Diddy. 24 hours in a day. She said on a good day, she got 4 hours of sleep. On a bad one, she got 2. Do the math. Shit. Do the math.
Maximizing Cassie's media footage, the Optus reported directly to Diddy. Diddy had all approval of Cassie's hair, schedule, makeup, meetings, videos, songs, everything that Cassie could. Cassie couldn't breathe without Diddy's approval, right? They said in New York to LA in 2011, he was
she's a co-conspirator.
And Cassie,
absolutely.
They said that Bad Boy paid the rent for Capricorn Clark. She lived at 9374 Beverly Crest. Diddy had a
every last person on the witness stand, except the doctor, except the Homeland Security, the security guard at the hotel. Who else? Kid Cudi, are co-conspirators. Everybody else are co-conspirators. They are what they call it, unprosecuted co-conspirators. They are cooperating witnesses. I told you that. I told you that. Either you are a co-conspirator or you are a cooperating witness. Yeah. How many times I said that going into the second week? They are co-conspirators. Yeah, they have firsthand account of what was going on, and they was in their mind. That way it ain't in their mind. They justifying it. By saying that they were that was the job. But like I say, people have quit for less. Right? They need at least one clean victim. Well, everything about him, he didn't hire clean people. No. He intentionally, that was his thing. Pressure, you think I just be talking and I don't know what I be talking about. I see that now. That was his MO. His MO was to make everybody do the dirty deed. So he need no Brown. But because he did it that way, right? That's a part of making it a RICO, a racketeering, coercion. Because he made it set up like her, just like with Dawn, and she gave her dude, her boyfriend, that horse tranquilizer. He invited him out. And he said, that's how I would think. I would probably, that's how I think is how I think. Yeah, because you know, sit up there and you giving people this. Somebody said, like when they got paid, here, give it to her. Give that to her. And then she give it to security. He ain't touch it. But being a part of a organized, what they call it, enterprise, that's the whole thing. You have these people who do the work for you, just like a mob boss. Majority of the time, they send him-mans out to do the job. So if we're going to look at racketeering, how it was set up back in the days, they would send their employees, the other guys that worked for Al Capone or whoever his name was, to do the dirty work. Same thing. Don't ask me no questions. If you want to ask a question, put it on a super chat or super sticker. Don't ask me no questions. Put it on super chat, super sticker. So that's my take on that. He did that on purpose. But because he did it that way, to try to make it seem like his hands are clean. His hands are clean. They gave the money to him. They didn't give it to me. Who safe did it go into? Yeah, he had everything, just like Cassie. Cassie, I want him to do this, that, and the other. He dictated, he directed, so here you pay him, here you this, here you that. But they're all up under the enterprise, and like when he's paying them off, or he's paying them off under Bad Boy Entertainment. That's the enterprise. It's his enterprise. These people work for his enterprise. He's the boss. Like his sister said, he is the king. And we're here to do any and everything he wants us to do. So ain't nobody hands gonna be clean if they work for Diddy. Because that's how he set it up. That's how he wanted it. He wanted it for it to be his MO. So he could say, I didn't do it, they did it. Ain't that how Nino Brown did at the end in New Jack City? Look at he the banker, he that, yeah, him, whatever his name was. That's how he handling it. But now because of how they look at Rico and they done kind of switched it in the trafficking and all of that, it's still up under his enterprise. So you the head leader. And your workers don't want to go to prison for you. So they telling the job that they did. And those things that they signed, DNAs or whatever, it don't supersede federal court. So although they signed, they would never talk about how I was really pimping y'all, working y'all for damn near free. He pimped everybody, sound like. $65,000 and you work 20 hours a day. No breaks, no nothing. You can't even leave and go get some turkey bacon without getting hit, beat. Okay, y'all, I'll be back. I gotta go. I'll be back later.